The Kangaroos return to Optus Oval for the first time in exactly 2 years, and they're here to defend their spot inside the top 8. They've won 4 of their last 5 games to return to the 8 after 6 weeks sitting in 9th position. They're inside the 8 only on percentage, so it is a massive game this afternoon. There's Glenn Archer, primed and ready for a big one. Plenty of recent history between these two sides, the Kangaroos and Carlton. And here come the Blues, led by their skipper Anthony Koutafidis. Carlton lost their last 2 games after 3 straight wins. They're sitting in 11th position, 6 wins and 9 losses. Won just 3 of their last 16 games at Optus Oval. They're 2-2 here at the venue in season 2004. Their last meeting was a cracker. It was back in round 3. Daniel Wells, the hero. We're hoping for a similar quality game this afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Optus Oval. Jason Bennett alongside Tony Shaw. Shawry, massive game, as I mentioned, particularly for the Kangaroos. They've fought so hard to work their way back up into the 8. They don't want to let slip this afternoon. No,
their last month's been brilliant, Jason, and I think, yeah, they have to get over the Blues here if they want to make sure that they do play off in finals. The Blues, well, they're just the rebound kings, aren't they? They've had a couple of shellackings this year and then turn around the next week, so looking forward to them. I think they've been a lot more competitive under Dennis Pagan this season. It's
a good sign mental, isn't it? The Blues have been collared on a number of occasions this year. Round 1, Freo got them at Subi. They bounced back to beat Geelong. Melbourne towered them up by 105 points. They then beat Collingwood. St Kilda gave them a flogging. Adelaide win the following week. Last week, they copped a massive loss, 83 points to Port Adelaide. Can they bounce back this afternoon? That's the question. History shows they can.
Yes, it does. And look, I think any other club, you'd be a little bit concerned about that, the way that that's been up and down. But I think Dennis Pagan knows he's got a young list. He's got a lot of players from other clubs who have come and got a second chance at the Blues. So that's going to happen until you really get in control and you're there at a club for a fair period of time.
A couple of massive inclusions. That man, Lance Whitnell and Brendan Favola, to put a smile on Dennis Pagan's face. Here he is with Tiffany Cherry.
Thanks for joining us, Dennis. First of all, Lance Whitnell, what a remarkable recovery. 6 days ago, he was on crutches and in a boot.
Well, he's had the boot on between training sessions this week. It was a stress reaction. It wasn't a fracture, virtually like a bad bone bruise. And it responded a lot quicker than we thought. The specialist gave him the all clear to have a crack at it.
How much of an impact do you expect him to play?
Well, he's a very good player. He sets up for us, and we've got to take it as it comes a bit. We don't know what the scenario is going to be with Lance. He's certainly trained well this week. His cross-training when he's been injured has been outstanding. So he's very experienced. He only missed 2 games, so he couldn't have lost too much.
Will you start him?
Certainly will.
Brendan Favola, obviously he missed with suspension, so not injured, and Sav Rock is in great form as well. Would you expect a shootout?
Well, we hope not. I just hope Brendan kicks a lot of goals. You know, we've really missed him the last couple of weeks. We just haven't had forwards who can kick multiple goals, and Brendan's proven that he can do that. So we really welcome him back today.
Carlton's 2 leading goal kickers, Lance Whitnell and Brendan Favola. Favola in ripping form, 21 goals in the 3 weeks leading up to his 2-game suspension. They're an infinitely better side, obviously, with those two in the lineup.
Oh, look, Brendan Favola's had a great year, and Dennis Pagan said that he let down his teammates, you know, because of that 2-week suspension. But in front of goals, he's been brilliant. You look at that, DeLuca's been a good player for Carlton this year. Also gives them added height in their forward line.
They have got some marking options inside 50, the Blues, which takes a bit of focus off Brendan Favola, makes it harder to double team him.
Yeah, look, Lance Whitnell back in the side too, as Dennis said. He knows he sets up. I think he'll play a fair bit on the bench today too, because it's just missing the game intensity.
Through the midfield, Nick Stevens got a barb from his former coach Mark Williams during the week. He'll be keen to prove a point today. You'd expect Rawlings or Ferrito to go to him.
Yeah, I think Rawlings the best tagger in the competition, or one of with Brett Kirk. And Nick Stevens, I didn't think he deserved that criticism because he's at another club now. You just get on with life.
Daniel Wells, fantastic player for the Kangaroos last week, bobbed up again. He's a clutch player for a young kid.
Oh, just sensational. That goal he kicked last week was just brilliant, and you know that you've got to put a lot of time in him. Anthony Koutafidis at centre-back. I think he also might play a little bit on ball today. You won't be surprised to see him ruck row.
And David Teague up against his old side as we look forward. Look at big Severio Rocker, a man you know plenty about, and it's great to see him back in ripping form.
Oh, look, it's brilliant, isn't it? And he's turned his career around again, and looks like he'll play again next year, but he has. And the one thing he does, he just straightens their game plan up. They kick the ball in long with a lot of confidence now.
Adam Simpson, the man for the Kangaroos. Scott Camporelli and Heath Scotland, big jobs to do for the Blues.
Well, the midfielders have got, look, how they go about who they're going to tag and who aren't they going to tag is so important. One of out of both sides will get under the guard, and they can have an impact and change the game.
Take a look at the bench for the Blues. Jordan Bannister back in the lineup after some weeks in the VFL and an injury problem. And some young talent in Fisher, McCormick and Walker.
Well, Jordan Bannister, I think, might go with Harvey today. I know he's starting on the bench, but he'll get a run with roll with Brent Harvey. You can see Anthony Stevens on the bench, so they're travelling pretty well, the Kangaroos.
And Shane Harvey in for his first game for the Kangaroos. Their coach, Dean Laidley, here he is with Wayne Schwass.
Terrific win last week, Dean, against Fremantle at Subiaco. I guess the challenge is to come back to Melbourne and beat a side you probably expected to beat today, but it certainly won't be easy.
Oh, look, it won't be easy here. You know, the history tells us this year that, you know, they've butted up pretty well after a win, and look, this is just another stepping stone to where we want to be, and, you know, we're very focused on that, and, you know, we've got 3 or 4 things we need to achieve today. If we achieve those, we're a good chance of winning.
And if you do win today, you effectively shut the door on a side that, if they were to win today, would have some aspirations and some hopes to play in the finals.
Well, I'm just worried about what we're doing, and we're looking for a win so we can keep heading in the right direction.
Shane Harvey in for his first game this afternoon.
Yeah, look, you know, he's worked really hard. He was probably our leading goal kicker through the pre-season, and sort of fell out, you know, with the balance of the side going. Maybe the coach went with the players that he knew in the early stages of the season. And look, his form in the last 5 or 6 weeks in the VFL, he's had about 30 possessions and kick goals. So, look, it was just a great opportunity to bring him in today.
Thanks, Dean. Good luck today.
Thanks, fella.
Well, the Roos have won 10 of their last 13 games against Carlton, but 5 of the last 6 clashes between these sides decided by less than 20 points. And as I mentioned, Daniel Wells, the hero in the clutch, last time they met with that great goal right before the final siren. And of course, last week he did it again. He's a fantastic player, and we are almost set to go at Optus Oval. It's Kangaroos, it's Carlton, and it's next right here on Fox Footy.
Well, we've seen him kick some clutch goals already this year. And there is another one. Wells just grabs it and goals!
This summer, why not sit down to some refined intellect?
It looks like a Chico roll, that one. Someone said to me, how's school going? I said, I love it. I hate that part when they take you inside.
Some gentlemanly discourse.
I finished my career, but I still owe him a cup.
He's a dud. He might be a dud.
And some immoderate anecdotes.
Leave your skateboard outside the milk bar. You go and get a can of Coke. Come back outside the milk bar with a can of Coke. And there's your skateboard on bricks.
Grumpy Old Man, all summer on Fox Footy Channel.
Go Harvey Norman now for 18 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2006. What a deal. Buy now and pay absolutely nothing for 18 months. Electrical, computers and communications, furniture and bedding and bedroom furniture, bed linen and much more. 18 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2006. Minimum purchase $500. Conditions, fees and charges apply. See store for details. 18 months interest-free now at Harvey Norman. But hurry, offer must end this weekend.
Staker has kicked 2 in the game so far. Driving ball forward. Oh, that is a contender. What a lift have we seen a day of marking today. He got the lift and then got the catapult on top of it.
That is Jeff Farmer on some bloke I know. That is one of the best I've ever seen.
It's Super Saturday on Fox Footy. There's the 2 skippers, Adam Simpson and Anthony Koutafidis. Adam Simpson wins the toss. The Roos will kick to the right of screen in the opening term. As we welcome our co-caller this afternoon. Good afternoon to former Kangaroo Premiership player Wayne Schwass.
Good afternoon, Jason. Tony, looking forward to this match. Should be a good game of football.
This man, Severio Rock, has kicked 24 goals in the last 5 games. Shorey, his best patch of form since the first 5 weeks of 1997. He's in ripping nick.
Well, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? And it looked like his career was coming to an end. I think he will play again next season. And as I said, I think that he straightens up their game plan, which they needed to do. They do chip the ball around under pressure, but Sav's had a great month.
Will Brendan Favola be the answer again up forward for the Blues? He's kicked 17 goals in their last 3 clashes with the Kangaroos. And he will be a crucial factor again this afternoon. Show of mutual respect there from Brendan Favola and Glenn Archer. Perfect conditions for football. Bit chilly, bit of breeze around, but we are set to go. It's Super Saturday on Fox Footy. Carlton and the Kangaroos at Optus Oval. Petrie starting in the ruck for the Kangaroos. No effective tap. Camporelli tries to twist through, can't get through the congestion. We'll have a secondary bounce as we head down to Tiff.
Well, I can tell you it's blowing a gale down here. It's in fact blowing it directly across the ground, so it's not actually favouring either side of the ground. And also an interesting point, Ian Collins spoke about getting together with the Kangaroos and developing Optus Oval as a high-tech training facility, so something to keep your eye on.
Harris from the congestion, little handball backward to Jones. Gets the first kick of the game away. And in front of Morrell and Harvey. Harvey with too much toe, as you'd expect. Handball import to Lee Brown. Brown a high ball. They'll contest 25 out from goal. Numbers there for the Blues. Lappin went to ground. French seeks the sanctuary of the goal line. There's a free kick for an in the back, so that behind will not count. And Barnaby French will take a free kick right on the defensive goal line.
And Justin Davies behind play was having a go with Brent Harvey, so it looks like he's got the run with roll.
Barnaby French from the last line. Goes long to Teague at half-back. Rocker in best position. Up he goes. He's been paid. Good start for Sav. Spots a target inboard. Goes to it. Petrie surrounded. Off hands to Rawlings. Snaps it back to the top of the square. The fist from Prendergast. At ground level. Chance for Motlop. Camporelli confronts. Doesn't lay a tackle. He slips Prendergast. Scotland gets a piece of him. Heats Scotland in to clear for the Blues. Out to Stevens. And Carlton away from half-back.
He now heads up to the wing. The boundary line might be his friend. Ferrito can't keep it in. We'll have a throw in. Wing position outer side of the ground.
Just down the other end of the ground, it looks like Archer's gone to Favola. I thought Shannon Watt might have got the first chance on him, but no, it's Glenn Archer will be playing on Brendan Favola.
And Matthew Lappin with his own problems, a dislocated finger, you would think. Adam Simpson tackled. Ball's going nowhere, and we'll have a bounce. Just under 2 minutes gone in the first quarter. Having their own problems getting that finger back in. Petrie against French. French gets the tap down, coming through McGrath. Ball spills free. And we'll have a secondary throw in. Plenty of players around the ball, as you'd expect. French to the front position. Ball spills out to Nick Stevens. Another early possession. Whitnell in front. Gets the handball off to McGrath. Heads in forward. Favola on the lead. Got rid of Glenn Archer and Brendan Favola. Distance won't bother him. Wind might be a factor. He will go back and have the first shot on goal for Carlton this afternoon. This would be a terrific start after 2 weeks out through suspension.
Well, Wayne, I've got to say, I'm quite surprised at Shannon Watt. Shannon Watt is one of the quickest players at the Kangaroos, and especially playing at fullback, he would be quicker than Glenn Archer. So, you know, it's not whether Archer's tougher or whatever, but you know that Favola leads so well in the space. If he got in control, total control, you would think that Shannon Watt would go to him straight away.
It's a move we may see instigated by Dean Lady, depending on how Brendan Favola goes in the next 5 or so minutes. Will kick from just on 50. Gives it a good ride. The crowd will indicate what that is. Brendan Favola gets his first. Carlton away. They have 1 goal. Just the start the big full forward would have been after, and more importantly, perhaps Dennis Pagan.
Well, I think Dennis Pagan would be, because he'd be saying that the last 2 weeks was a disappointment for Brendan Favola and his teammates. He did say during the week that he had let him down. There's McGrath. Good hands by Whitnell to McGrath. And again, I say about that matchup, wouldn't be surprised to see Shannon Watt. And this is what he does so well. That is a great conversion from about 55 metres out. 2 great kicks at either end, Sav Rocker and Brendan Favola.
Good start for the Blues. As we can see there, they've won just 4 of their last 15 first quarters. They have been terrible starters this season. So to get away well, all important for them this afternoon, particularly here at Optus Oval, where the crowd can make some noise. Petrie and French. McGrath won the crump. Tumbles towards half forward. Colbert fisted away from Whitnell. Wells couldn't gather. Camporelli did. Stevens kept his feet. Spears it inside 50. It'll clear to Luca. Mark taken by Shannon Watt. Colbert running with Whitnell. Switch of play to Adam Simpson. Been a ball magnet for the Kangaroos this season, averaging 26 touches a game. He'll be second in the AFL. Goes to Petrie. Pokes it towards the wing. Jones couldn't take the mark. Wheels onto the left boot. Spears to inside 50. It's all Carlton. Thornton beat Rocker to the football to take the relieving mark. Hands off to Koutafidis. The switch now on to Prendergast at his own defensive 20. Thinks about switching back. Terrible option. And Motlop chips in 55 from home. Well, Daniel Motlop is in some form. Booted 4 goals last week against the Dockers. It would need to be his best from here. He was foxing. Goes short to Simpson. And the skipper has it just inside 50. Carlton claiming it wasn't 15. Mark will stand.
Got a bit of protection in that pocket from the Richard Pratt stand. So left footer, only thing left foot across the face of the goal. Hard shot.
Not a renowned goal kicker, Adam Simpson, just 65 of them in 195 games. Starts at left, tries to work it back. It looks good.
Great kick.
Touched. Umpire paused for effect magnificently in front of the Heatley stand. And Adam Simpson denied right on the line. The Blues one straight, the Kangaroos one behind. We've played 6.5 minutes opening term at Optus Oval.
Well, the two entries, they've gone inside their forward 50, the Kangaroos. Free kick was given away to Barnaby French, and a little bit unlucky there, but that's good defensive play by Carlton to make sure the ball didn't get through. Stevens, third possession, busy early. Has a player at centre-half back. Fisher towards DeLuca. Colbert got one hand to it. Koutafidis gives it off to T, middle of the ground. Favola outnumbered, getting back for Rito. Takes an easy mark. That's the play on. Can go out to Adam Simpson again, who's got loose. Had Shannon Grant in support. Goes up to the wing. Motlop. Using the outer side of the ground, the Kangaroos, the attacking side. Heading towards the right of screen. Rocker on the lead. Ball spills free. Brent Harvey has a bounce and drops the ball. Second go, centres the kick. Will it find its target? Makepeace had to work hard on the half volley, couldn't take the ball. Numbers around there. Johnson working hard on his hands and knees. Camporelli tackled as he got the kick away. Houlihan's in there, as is Michael Stevens. And we'll have a bounce 40 metres from goal. Attacking 50 for the Kangaroos.
Already some worrying signs. Tony Adam Simpson with 3 possessions and finding plenty of space.
Yeah, look, he's getting plenty of the ball. I'm just trying to find a match up there. Corey Jones has got the big job of running with Nick Stevens. You think Nick would have a lot more stamina?
Norman in over the top of it for the Blues. Grant tries to extricate it. Brady Rawlings dispossessed. Scotland a little give to Camporelli. The kick ricochets back to Rawlings. Now Wells from 55. Inboard. Thornton in best position for the Blues. Mark not paid. Chance for the Roos. And a goal. Michael Stevens. Kangaroos on the board. So juggling attempt from Brett Thornton, not paid. Michael Stevens there to pounce. And the Roos have the lead. 8.5 minutes gone, opening term.
Well, he's been a great player, Michael Stevens. A good pickup. The younger brother, of course, of Anthony. And on that occasion, the mark not paid. Just the crumb then. A little bit fortunate, a little bit lucky. But gee, he had space not far out from goal. That Simpson matchup, it is now Koutafidis is going with Adam Simpson. So you think that Koutafidis will have to tighten up.
There's the Carlton bench. You can hear the wind in the effects mics, and it's very, very blustery here at Optus Oval. It's not the 14 and hail that they predicted, but tricky conditions nonetheless. Petrie and French. Simpson again hovering over the football. Koutafidis, the clearance king for the Blues. Bannister off a step, puts it out in front of Whitnell. One-on-one with Colbert. The cavalry arrive now for the Kangaroos. Ferrito. Watt. Whitnell pinched it. Was excellent opportunist play from 40 metres out. Couldn't get enough purchase on the kick. Awkward bounce to the square. Archer and Favola. One-on-one. Ball finds the line. Throw in. Quick thinking and quick hands from Lance Whitnell.
Gee, started the game well. That one contest there when you've got Archer against Favola, that will suit Archer because of the body strength. He would just have as much body strength as Brendan Favola. It's on the lead that's the issue.
Whitnell in the ruck against Petrie. Colbert third man up. No one a clear possession. Camporelli in over the top. Rawlings and Harris putting body pressure on him. We'll have another bounce 25 metres out from the Carlton goal. They trail by a point. We've gone 10 minutes at Optus Oval. Petrie and Whitnell again. Whitnell down towards Johnson. Chance for Koutafidis. Taken on by Rawlings. A ricochet. Out of bounds on the full, is it? Umpire says no. Touched. David King appealing for it. It's all too familiar for the Blues. They've had some problems with out of bounds on the full in this position against the Kangaroos already this year.
Someone's gone down.
It's Camporelli.
Brady Rawlings has got the job and trying to milk a free kick there, Scott Camporelli.
Who would have thought Scott Camporelli in the mix of some...
bit of niggle.
Some niggle early. Colbert, ineffective fist. Here's Kudafeed. He's taken high by Shannon Grant. Umpire spotted it. And here's Grant and Camporelli wanting to go on with it. That'll be 50, will it? It will.
Yes, the umpire's yet across the face.
50 metres to the Blues.
There's a bit of feeling in this game, Jason, a lot of feeling in this game. I've been watching Davies and Brent Harvey behind play. And Anthony Kudafeed, as we said, he's got the matchup on Simpson. Simpson more possessions, but got the free kick for around the neck. So certain goal now with the 50-metre penalty.
Goes from being a 50-50 to a certainty. And Kuda puts the Blues back in front. Fiery game as David King goes on with it behind the play as well. He's into it with Pete Scotland. Bit of old-fashioned niggle. Wayne Schwass. We've played 11.5 minutes. It's the Blues by 5 points.
Well, they do have a rather testy relationship, these two sides. As we know, Dennis Pagan coaching Carlton, formerly the Kangaroos. So there's a fair bit in it which you'd expect. Indeed, Laley hasn't hesitated. Drew Petrie has been replaced by Mark Porter, more traditional ruckman. And Anthony Stevens has come on for his first run this afternoon, replacing Corey Jones.
Well, clearance is 5-1 in favour of the Blues. They are dominating early.
Bounce favourite French. Johnson gets the clearance towards centre-half forward, but Lee Colbert takes a good strong mark against Lance Whitnell. 11 marks last week, Lee Colbert. Terrific performance, 22 possessions. Centre-half back again, as we've seen early on, out to the outer side of the ground. Brown has to get the spoil. Scotland waits down, gets a handball back to Camporelli. Involved in more ways than one. Lappin had the weight, unkind bounce. McGrath, clean possession. Poor kick. Watt mops it up. Shannon Grant has a loose player out wide. That man there is Michael Ferrito. And go again to Lee Brown. Can have a bounce up to the wing position. Good chase, Scotland. Non-preferred side towards centre forward. Rocker flew, as did Morrell. Thornton couldn't pick up the clean ball. David Teague brings it out broadcast side of the ground now. Houlihan always looks as though he's got plenty of time. Good possession. Finds McGrath.
McGrath from centre wing will go to Favola on the searching lead at 55. Goes to ground. Archer comes in over the top of him. Watt tracks it back. Good second effort from Favola. Keeps it alive. DeLuca and Archer. 25 out. They go to the deck.
Great desperation by Glenn Archer. DeLuca was a little bit slower to turn, but Archer knew that he had to dive because he wouldn't have made it up with his speed. Have a look at this. You just need this. Sometimes, you know, you can get caught holding the ball, but then DeLuca just fell over the back. Had to be a free kick. Corey McGrath's had a great quarter against Shannon Grant. I think he's had 3 clearances from the centre and 5 possessions.
And 3 inside 50s from McGrath as well. Here's Harvey at defensive 50 to the wing. Harris is his target. Goes up and beats Davies in the air. Hits the ground running. Spears to half forward. Here's the danger man for the Roos, Adam Simpson. And he's got it just inside the square. Hands off to Michael Stevens. Ball inside 50 to Harvey. Had to stand and wait with courage. Thornton came thundering through. And that'll be 50.
Well, we're going to have to look at the replay because I thought Thornton was in the air and couldn't do much about changing. If you've got your feet on the ground, you can change direction. It was a fraction late, but a little bit harsh. Great courage again. Gee, we've seen it, haven't we? Archer down one end, diving in and showing desperation. And Brent Harvey just keeping his head up over the ball.
Harvey from point-blank range puts the Roos back in front. His first for the afternoon. He's had 4 possessions, Brent Harvey. And the Kangaroos by a point. 14.5 minutes gone at Optus Oval. Let's take another look. The kick came in from Michael Stevens.
It wasn't a great kick. It was a floater. Gee.
And what we don't see there, sure, is that Thornton started that defensive spoiling effort from the top of the goal square. He'd ran a good 35 metres full tilt to get to that contest.
That's right, because Sav Rocker was on the lead. I don't know what else he could have done to avoid contact. Matter of fact, I think he tried to avoid contact by going side on, but the umpire saw it differently and made a certainty of the goal. You know, both sides are just a little bit undisciplined in certain areas. 2 free kicks and 2 50-metre penalties for goals at the moment.
Sides going goal for goal. Johnson in the best position. Ball comes out to Anthony Stevens. Has his brother if he wants it, decides to go backwards before he goes forward. Shannon Grant shrugged the tackle, did well under pressure, got it back to his former skipper and Anthony Stevens. And taking a strong mark, Lee Brown. He's played a number of roles this year, forward, back and also in the ruck. Versatile player for the Kangaroos. The kick goes deep into the forward line for the Kangaroos. Unkind bounce, French. Tackled by Makepeace. Teague besieged by 2 Kangaroos. And we'll have a bounce. 25 metres from goal, the Kangaroos enjoying the slenderest of margins. Under 9.5 minutes remaining in this first quarter. French wins the tap down to Nick Stevens, getting some early possessions. Kick heads towards the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in, approaching the 9-minute mark of the first quarter.
Andrew Walker on for the Blues.
Just wonder where the wind conditions, which way it's favouring, and hopefully we can get to Tiffany Cherry, because at one end, on the outer, the kicks have been holding up, and with the protection of the stand just in front of us here, there's no doubt the ball went further.
Harris away from the stoppage to Grant. Floating kick inside 50. One-on-one, Teague did well. Beat Motlop cold on that occasion. Can use Fisher, who's just come onto the ground and doesn't have an opponent. He can go inboard. Here's McCormick. Spears the kick to Favola. Good transition football from the Blues off half-back. And Brad Fisher, we saw him check in through the interchange gates 30 seconds ago, straight into the action and linked up beautifully with McCormack to Favola.
Well, just before that, I thought it was David Teague, just read the ball beautifully off halfback. He had the big job, given the big job on Warren Treadray early last week. I didn't like that matchup, but gee, just attacked the ball, got the ball forward. And a couple of players are standing out at the moment. Davies, I think, has been fairly solid. He had, as I said, Harvey's kicked one goal, but got a 50-metre penalty. And again, I don't think Glenn Archer or Shannon Watt could have stopped that lead or that pass.
Booted 8 goals against the Roos in round 5 last season. His equal personal best tally. He's already got one this afternoon. And looking dangerous. Brennan Favola to put the Blues back in front. From just inside 50. Works it from right to left. A little bit too far on this occasion. And through for a minor score. 1-1 to Brennan Favola. Scores level. 17.5 minutes gone. Opening term at Optus Oval. Michael Stevens with a kick in for the Kangaroos.
And kicks it 60 metres, finds Adam Simpson, can release a teammate forward of the ball. Daniel Harris, quick reply, Sam Rocker on the lead. Well, we talked about the transition heading one way. That was pretty special going the other way, but you've got to say, Tony, poor marking in the zone for Carlton, allowing 3 Kangaroos players behind the ball. Well,
the distance on the kick went another further 20 metres, I would think, Wayne, and that meant that the Carlton players in the zone were under the ball, and a beautiful finish by Daniel Harris, but that would have taken all of 5 or 6 seconds from full back to a shot on goal for Sav Rocker.
6 goals, 3 last week. He's hit a purple patch, Sav Rocker, kicks from 48 metres and just slides it to the right-hand side of the goalpost for behind his first score for the afternoon. Kangaroos out by a point again.
Nice to know you got that play in the playbook. It's almost a Hail Mary play, isn't it? They went long from the kick in and it worked a treat. Lappin receives at defensive 40 for the Blues.
The other thing about that long kick in, most sides are in a zone, would like to see the ball in the air for a long time so they can punch it back.
Caught them by surprise, didn't it? Particularly, usually it's going into the breeze left to right at Optus Oval. Maybe not today. We'll head down to tip shortly. McCormack. Simpson for the Kangaroos. Tumbles it inside 50. Bounce favours Motlop. He's got a man in the square, Brent Harvey. He will walk in and go bang. 2 goals to Brent Harvey. And it's the Roos by 7 points as we approach time on in the opening term at Optus Oval.
Well, 2 goals to Brent Harvey, 1 from a 50-metre, and that was just a turnover, which there it is. The bad handball, I think it was McCormick. Quick handball. Simpson, Koutafidis has kicked the goal, but Simpson's had a lot of possessions, and Motlop sets up Harvey. There's Davies, his man number 13, 30 yards away from him. It's a big job for a very young player in Justin Davies. Harvey goes into the centre bounce.
Blustery conditions at Optus Oval. Let's head boundary side. Here's Tiff.
Yeah, certainly very blustery, quite swirly wind, but if it is favouring any side, it's to the right of screen, the Kangaroos, and you'd probably say a couple of goals.
Bounce favours French. Camporelli gets the kick. Inside 50 now for Rito, front position. Slaps it to Watt. Good play. Has Colbert in support. Finds Jess Sinclair. And they head out the outer side of the ground. Fisher did well. Walker swoops on the loose ball, goes inside 50 for Voller on the lead, and he is giving Glenn Archer the merry dance at the moment. Has DeLuca short. Nick Stevens wants it long, quickly. For Voller towards French and takes a tumbling mark. Opens up the angle. Distance is improved. Barnaby French will have his first shot on goal. Adrian DeLuca makes his way to the bench.
Well, Brendan Favola's having an impact on this game, and I just said it was a big job for Justin Davies. He's been taken from the ground, and now Jordan Bannister's got the job on Brent Harvey in the tagging role. This is what he has to do, Barnaby French. Get forward as much as he can. Trying to be a scoring option for the Blues.
You didn't see it off camera there, but Brendan Favola just giving a little bit of a word of advice to Barnaby French. Gets close to the man on the mark. The advice worked. Barnaby French gets his first. That's his fourth of the year. And importantly, the Blues strike back. They trail the Kangaroos by 1 point. A touch under 6 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Good reply. An equally good play by Brendan Favola. Would have been a tight angle at the best of times with still conditions. Centre the ball, good lead Barnaby French, and just as good a finish.
Alternatively, Mark Porter just got to know you have to be goal side of your ruckman, and you've got to make sure that you're on the kicker side of him too if you do get into the forward 50, because ruckman getting forward now, they like to sit back behind play, Jason, but at the moment just pushing forward like Barnaby French. Good attacking play from the ruckman.
It was loose checking because he trotted down from the centre circle and was by himself inside 50 for a good 10 seconds before the ball came to him. It's back in the middle now. Anthony Stevens toe pokes it to the advantage of Harvey. He's confronted by Camporelli. McCormick, Koutafidis, Lappin, back to Koutafidis, shrugged a tackle with body strength. Handball at the feet of Morrell. He gathers, kick goes wide to Favola. One-on-one again with Archer. Archer worked him off the football. Wells takes possession, turns Favola around. Away goes Daniel Wells to half forward. Corey Jones the target. Teague up with courage and judgment. At ground level, Grant, Bannister, and now Stevens for the Blues. Handball out in front of Morrell. Shepherd came from Fisher. Handball swings wide to Thornton. Now he can go back to Brad Fisher from defensive 50. Long kick towards Lappin. Colby will arrive with a fist towards the line and finds it. Throw in, 22.5 minutes gone, opening term. The Roos by a point.
Two different types of game plan here. You look at the Kangaroos, 3 goals kicked by Harvey and Stevens, who are 2 on-ballers. Where you look at the Carlton side, their key position players, Favola, French, and you call Koutafidis. I think a key position player or could play like one.
Camporelli off the hands of the ruck contest. Petrie takes him to ground and we'll have another ball up.
And his nemesis for this afternoon, Brady Rawlings, as we've seen already in this first quarter, just letting him know. Expect that will be the pattern for the most of the afternoon for Scott Camporelli. Both ruckman wrestling coming through. The man we've just spoken about, Scott Camporelli. Good play towards Favola with Archer. Archer with strength. Favola stayed down. Brendan Favola couldn't bring it back. Only a behind, but that was threatening for the Kangaroos' defence.
How are you seeing that matchup, Wayne? Because he's had a major impact, Brendan Favola. He's missed a couple of goals, which he normally would kick.
I think on the lead, Brendan's certainly got Glenn Archer, but for the strength, if the ball comes in like that, that'll favour Glenn Archer, who takes the kick from Jess Sinclair. Jess gets it back, finds Michael Stevens, centre of the ground, wants a runner in. And his brother Anthony goes short to Lee Brown, wing position. Comes back inboard. Petrie has to stop and wait. Lappin gets in front. Second attempt, couldn't make it. Drew Petrie did well, got the handball away to Shane Harvey. He's on for his first run in his first game. Shannon Grant ducked the shoulders. Ball came out to Wells. Got it to Shane Harvey. Second possession to his brother.
Gee.
Nearly out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. Left forward pocket for the Kangaroos. Scores tied up.
A little bit of brotherly love there. The Stevens brothers getting together. Handball to his brother to Anthony to get him involved, and then the Harveys where it got into the act.
Prendergast into the ruck. French having a spell. An extended quarter-time break. Rocker palmed it to the back of the contest. Bannister was there for the Blues over the top of it. Jones wraps him up.
That should be holding the ball. Scotty McLaren, the umpire, I just think when a player holds the ball in like Jordan Bannister did and could not get rid of the ball, he pulled it underneath, it should be holding the ball. Doesn't matter how many players are holding the ball over the top of him or stopping the ball from coming out.
35 metres out from the Kangaroo goal. Spills to Sinclair. High ball, drifts back towards the pocket. Carries the line for a minor score. Just Sinclair on the board. And the Roos by a point. 3 minutes remaining until quarter time. Lance Whitnell having a spell. Dennis Pagan suggested pre-match he'd be used sparingly. They're not exactly sure how much game time Lance will get through this afternoon. Coming back from a fortnight away with stress problems in his foot. As Houlihan brings it out and finds Prendergast at left half back. Much improved player, Ian Prendergast, starting to demonstrate the potential that Carlton fans have known him to have for years. Norman couldn't take the mark. Walker on the bottom of that pack. The ball up, centre wing, broadcast side as McCormick comes off for the Blues. He's replaced by Adrian DeLuca. Let's head down to Tiff.
Interesting, Lance Whitnell's coaching from the sidelines just directed Prendergast towards that mark.
Good tap out from Simpson, who's so often the third man up. Shane Harvey. First kick inside 50. Unfortunately for the Blues, Bannister's spoil was ineffective because Teague could take the mark.
Very underrated player, David Teague. Enormous courage in the marking contest.
Blues would be delighted with that trade. Teague and Morrell for Corey McKernan. McKernan not playing for the Kangaroos this afternoon. Koutafidis to centre wing. DeLuca sandwiched. At ground level for Rito. Wanted to release it to Anthony Stevens and does. Sells a dummy to Walker. Handball to Wells. Davies to run him down. Handball missed the body of King. DeLuca lays a big tackle. Stops King in his tracks. Ball up centre wing.
Daniel Wells just has to learn that, you know, the first option handball's got to be on. Look at this for a tackle by big DeLuca. Tall players, or normally key position players, don't like to tackle. That's got to be a free kick in the ruck contest to Petrie. And it will be. It'll be brought back.
Lance Whitnell back on the ground. Petrie goes out wide. Outer side of the ground. Dangerous kick. Norman closing. But Lee Brown stood his ground and took the mark. Chance for one more score going into quarter time. Wells is the target. Got in front of Lance Whitnell. Had him covered for speed. It's got Sinclair inboard short. Rawlings provides a half-hearted lead, as does Daniel Motlop, who ignored. Quite happy to soak up the clock, Daniel Wells. Called to play on now. 60 from goal. Goes long towards the top of the square. Getting back there. Corey Jones. Ball spills free. Harris couldn't take possession. Coming through physically was Anthony Koutafidis. Did well. Get the ball in. Evades a tackler. Got it off to Davies. Walker to fly. Couldn't take the mark. Makepeace. Gets a shepherd from Ferrito. Handball's over the top. Shannon Grant is still tied. Loads up off a step. Starts it out left. Won't make the distance. Strong mark. Daniel Harris wasn't paid. No, the other way. And Brad Fisher it was. Taking a good mark in the last line of defence.
Saving the day for the Blues as the clock runs down to quarter time. Just need to be safe here, Carlton. Fisher. Wasn't. Wells floats in. Siren will sound. If he plays on, he does. And that will be quarter time. Entertaining opening term of football here at Optus Oval. Goal for goal largely through the opening term. At quarter time, the Kangaroos 3-3-21, Carlton 3-2-20. The goal kickers Favola, French and Koutafidis for the Blues. While Brent Harvey has 2 for the Kangaroos, the other to Michael Stevens. Quarter time on Super Saturday, right here on Fox Footy.
D-Day is draft day for the country's young AFL hopefuls. Draft camp was their chance to impress. Now it's a nervous wait to see which club will shape their future. Get the complete wrap, club by club, of this year's AFL Draft Saturday on Fox Footy Channel.
Go Harvey Norman now for 18 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2006. What a deal. Buy now and pay absolutely nothing for 18 months. Electrical, computers and communications, furniture and bedding and bedroom furniture, bed linen and much more. 18 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2006. Minimum purchase $500. Conditions, fees and charges apply. See store for details. 18 months interest-free now at Harvey Norman. But hurry, offer must end this weekend.
I'm a single mother with a daughter. One wage, small house. I'm an artist.
Any reason why you're doing a quarter of the speed limit?
I'm a safe driver. I'm so scared. What if I'm a sheep? What if I hate it? There's no turning back. Is everything okay?
Yeah, you know, work, life, stuff, death.
What's wrong, darling? Every time I see you, you look so inside yourself. I've had sex with you so often in my head. And it almost feels like it's normal.
towards this contest. If anybody's going to get it, it'll be Jones. Bullen, Hearn. The fairy tale complete after a horror week. James Hearn, you are a genius.
Quarter time at Optus Oval, and it is the Kangaroos leading by 1 point. They're 3-3-21. Carlton are 3-2-20. Brent Harvey, the only multiple goal scorer in the game. And a big Super Saturday of football on Fox. Stay tuned. We'll be going right through till 7 o'clock Eastern tonight, and then we will cross to Football Park, Amy Stadium in Adelaide for Adelaide versus Fremantle, or if you're watching in Perth and Adelaide, you will get Collingwood and the Brisbane Lions from the MCG as Dennis Pagan addresses his troops. There is one other game of round 16 action on this afternoon. It is at the Telstra Dome. Richmond hosting St Kilda. Replays of this one coming up later tonight on Fox Footy. So if you don't want to know the score, look away now. There's Dean Laidley addressing the troops at quarter time. Almost developing into a bit of a shootout, this one, Shorey. Both sides prepared to take a few chances and roll the dice.
Yeah, I thought the Carlton midfield, the clearances they got from the centres were a lot clearer, as in cleaner clearances. McGrath was good. I think he had 3 clearances from the centre bounces. Favola was a headache for Glenn Archer. I think they'll continue with Glenn Archer, but, you know, on the lead, there's no doubt he's too quick for him. Body on body, that does suit Glenn. I thought Barnaby French was pretty good around the ground. That helped Carlton with the clearances. The Kangaroos need a lift from Drew Petrie. You know, a player of his ilk last year, just a sensational player. He's had a really hard month. They need him to just work a bit harder to get himself into the game. Sav Rocker didn't have a major impact then. But, gee, the Carlton defence stood up. When you think about Teague was just fantastic with some of his marks. Morrell did a good job. And Koutafidis and Simpson, they're going head-to-head. I think Koutafidis had 8 possession and Simpson's had 6. So who's going to win that one? Probably the person who has the score on goals on the scoreboard. And Koutafidis got 1, Simpson's kicked 1 behind. But it has been turned into a shootout and a good game at quarter time.
Let's head boundary side. Here's Tiff.
Well, as you just saw on the screen there, Dean Laidley addressing his troops. He literally ran onto the ground almost as the siren went. Very, very keen. Basically the same from Dennis Pagan. Both huddles very positive. As far as injury goes, none for the Kangaroos. And Matthew Lappin, well, he dislocated his finger, but he's fine. He's had it strapped up.
Thanks, Tiff. Point the difference at quarter time. There's Dean Laidley. Koutafidis leading the game with 8 possessions. Stevens with 6, 5 each to McGrath, Camporelli and Brendan Favola. We spoke of his influence in the first term, Tony. When you put it in perspective there, you've got your full forward in your leading 5 stat getters. It shows the influence he's had in this game.
Well, 5 possessions. He kicked 1 goal too, and he also set up Barnaby French and gave a pass in the middle of the ground, in the middle of their forward 50, so he can convert a goal. Look, he's had a very good quarter. Again, full forwards, it's about conversion, Jason. That's what he's going to do. I thought Lance Whitnell was fantastic for the Blues in the first 10 minutes. Died out in the second half of the quarter. You think his fitness could be a problem, but great to see him start so well.
Adam Simpson, Brent Harvey, Grant and Wells all had 6 possessions for the Kangaroos. Lance Whitnell spent a little bit of time on the bench in the first quarter. We can expect that throughout the afternoon. A little bit underdone for fitness, having missed the last couple of weeks. But Super Saturday continues here on Fox Footy. Second term from Optus Oval coming up. Blustery conditions, but no rain clouds on the horizon. We've got ourselves an entertaining game of football as we start the second term. DeLuca in the ruck for the Blues. Goes up and wins the tap. Prendergast to run onto it for Carlton. He's wrapped up by Grant. Goes back to get it again. Porter lays a tackle on him and brings him to ground for a secondary bounce.
The Kangaroos are playing Michael Stevens on Matty Lappin as a negating half forward. So Matty Lappin's playing at half back for the Blues. Stevens half forward for the Kangaroos.
Whitnell contests the ruck contest because DeLuca pulled away and went to become a man behind play at centre half back, and here he is. Awkward bounce for him. Lays body on Petrie. Teague taken down by Makepeace. Michael Stevens, he's wrapped up by McGrath. McGrath piles in on top of Grant again. And yet another bounce, so scrappy early in the opening minute of the second term. Shannon Grant with 6 possessions, last up with the football. Here's DeLuca in the ruck against Petrie. Prendergast there as well. It's spilt to Lee Brown. Handball to Harris. Runs away from Scotland. Switches play back towards Michael Stevens. He'll be confronted by Bannister. Lappin went off the ground. It'll suit Simpson on centre wing. He's got some time and space to gather. Flips it back over the top. Awkward bounce for Sinclair. Confronted by Whitnell. Walker. He's muscled off it by Colbert. Carlton fans appreciate Andrew Walker's effort, and he's rewarded with a holding the ball call. It's coming back to Fisher. He'll get the free kick. There's a gang tackle in there on Lee Colbert. Umpire said he made no attempt to dispose of the football. Fisher, high ball inside 50. Whitnell his target. Work Porter underneath it. Here is Andrew Walker. Spins through Simpson. Gets onto the left boot. Bends it back and kicks a behind. Oh. But what a behind it was.
Gee, just the talent of Walker. Then you just see that's what the Carlton players are really going to look. And here's this holding the ball decision. The ball's caught in. He's over the ball. Doesn't look like he's tapping it out. Well, I'd say that was a good decision by the umpire.
Sinclair gets it back from Rawlings. Head towards Michael Stevens, outnumbered. Ball spills free. Daniel Harris. Clean possession on the second attempt. Lappin lays a good tackle. DeLuca. Handball's out in the direction of Nick Stevens. 6 possessions in the first quarter. Goes towards full forward. Beginning back there, Anthony Stevens takes a good diving mark. Last line of defence. There's Shannon Watt short. Ignores that. Wonderful servant of the Kangaroos, Anthony Stevens. Heads out the outer side of the ground. Koutafidis over his head. Ferrito. Koutafidis has another attempt. Third time lucky. Gets it away. Ball trickles over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for Carlton. Scores tied. Approaching 3 minutes of the second quarter. Porter against Koutafidis. Porter wins the tap out. McGrath could have been taken high and wins the free kick.
Gee, I've been impressed with Corey McGrath's game so far. Fantastic centre bounce clearances.
McGrath heads inside 50, but Kent there were 3 Kangaroos players. Daniel Harris one way, then another. Got it off to Petrie. Tumbles the kick forward. But there you find McGrath off to the runner in Camporelli. They go inside 50 again. Getting back, Fisher takes a diving mark. A couple of sloppy disposals from the Kangaroos players, proving costly. Brad Fisher could go back and make them pay with the first goal of the second quarter.
Well, again, Corey McGrath on the centre of the ground. Brady Rawlings at the moment, he's playing on Scott Camporelli. He's just wondering, a bit worried about how to play Scott Camporelli. Camporelli's playing in the centre of the ground and really just trying to time his run once Carlton gets the possession to link up. He's had 6 possessions where Rawlings has had 3, and he's set up this shot on goal.
15 goals, 8 for the year, Brad Fisher. This for number 16. Well, started at left and just tapered off very quickly to the right. I think that's a fair indication of what they're faced with, kicking at that end of the ground.
Reminds me of standing up on the first tee. Michael Stevens, the Blues back in front. Minor score, there's the breeze. The flag certainly fluttering in the breeze. Stevens again, there's the Hail Mary, the big launch to the middle of the ground. Anthony Stevens couldn't take it. McGrath at the back was decapitated by Porter. It was a ferocious tackle, but fair. Stevens, Koutafidis slides in on him. And by calls for a ball up as we head down to Tiff.
Barnaby French just getting some work done on his back. Remembering at the start of the year he had a back injury, but he seems to be quite well.
Ball up. Porter and Whitnell. Simpson. Camporelli got boot to ball quickly. Tumbles it inside 50. Awkward bounce for Fisher. McGrath lurking at the back. Quick hands links up with Scotland. He runs to 25 on the left. Pulls it back to the goal line. Mark. Walker. In front of the adoring Carlton faithful up in the social club. Andrew Walker. What a debut he made here in round 5 against the Eagles. 26 possessions and 9 marks. Matthew Lappin, a wise head just to come around and give him some advice.
I think if say just walk in slow, then come out the last second and either kick it on your left foot or a check side with your right.
Goes to the banana and nails it. Second goal of Andrew Walker's career. And the Blues open up a 7-point buffer. 6 minutes gone, second term at Optus Oval.
Well, I was trying to get it out before. He kicked a very exciting point, and that's what the Carlton supporters want to see. They want to see these young kids not have a definite impact on the total game, but just these little things. And he did it well then. Just pushed his man on the ball. It was Adam Simpson, and he worked this through very well. You know, not to rush, walk up to the mark, and then just put it across his boot. Good finish by Andrew Walker, and he will be a talented player for Carlton for a number of years.
Carlton enjoying a 7-point lead. Exciting to watch Andrew Walker. First year of football. Much talked about debut earlier in the year. First goal for the afternoon. McGrath gets the ball towards forward 50. Whitnell couldn't get away from the tackle from Lee Carlton and will have a bounce. Edge of the square. Anthony Stevens, left of screen on Nick Stevens. Porter wins the tap down. Carlton with numbers. Whitnell. Prendergast waited. Ball spills free. Shannon Grant working hard, as is Anthony Koutafidis. Prendergast somehow picked the ball up. Heavy traffic. Not pretty. Ferrito dragged off the ball. Koutafidis has another go. Someone needs to be clean. Lee Brown was, but only to the opposition. David T. Whitnell goes inside 50. Poor kick. Walker decides to stay down. 2 in 2 minutes. Wrong side of the post. Certainly gets the supporters in front of the Social Club excited.
They go up as one, don't they, when Andrew Walker comes near the football. They lost Goddard, they lost Wells. Whitnell lost his boot. Lee Brown helped him to sit down.
A little bit of byplay. Wasn't much contact there. I think the Kangaroos have to do something about Corey McGrath. He's playing on Shannon Grant, and he's had 9 possessions to this stage of the game. Might have to be Michael Ferrito to go to him and tag him.
Sinclair again, long from the kick-in. Prendergast judged it best for the Blues. Chips it back inside 50 for Favola on the lead. Good turnaround football. And Brendan Favola, 1 goal, 2 in the opening term. A chance to go back and open up a pretty handy buffer in the context of the game. And as we look at inside 50s for the term, and it's been all Carlton.
They have dominated the first part of this quarter. Everybody be saying, where is Glenn Archer? Well, it wasn't Glenn Archer's fault, because that kick in from the point, Glenn Archer was out in the opposite pocket trying to get the ball. So, you know, Favola's just got free because of that kick out and the turnover.
Illustrates why the long bomb in from the kick in, Tony, has really gone out of modern footy. It's just a low percentage play. If it doesn't work for you, more often than not, you really do get counter-punched.
Well, you have to have numbers at ground level if you're going to kick the ball long from the kick in.
Favola, deliberate in the approach from 45 metres out. Disliked it off the boot, and that's why. Shanked it left. Out of bounds on the full. So the Blues dominating in general play at the moment. 7 inside 50s to none, but they've only managed to put 1 goal on the board for all that effort.
And you know what normally happens? Normally happens the Kangaroos will get a run on, get down and kick a goal straight away against the trend of play. It's modern day football at its best. If you don't take your opportunities of kicking goals, it just goes down the other end that quickly.
The Blues with 1 goal, 3 and 1 out of bounds in this term. The Roos haven't been inside 50.
Brent Harvey, right back pocket to bring the ball back into play. Heads down the line, the ball hangs in the air. Corey McGrath gets the spoil, a good one at that. Unkind bounce, Koutafidis. Lee Colbert. Ball comes out to Shannon Grant. Comes out the broadcast side and finds Jess Sinclair. Has a runner in Anthony Stevens, who gets a shepherd from Watt. Has a bounce. Favola couldn't affect the spoil. Teague has to wait. Paid the mark. Courageous young man. Has modelled his game on his hero in Glenn Archer, and if he turns out half like Glenn Archer, he'll be a fair player. Koutafidis on the second attempt. Starting to get involved, Adam
Camporelli.
Koutafidis kicks towards the runner in. Scott Camporelli takes a diving mark, 48 metres from goal, plays on quickly. Don't know about the angle. Lappin keeps it low, steers it across the face of goal for a behind.
It was a good call, Wayne. I don't know about the angle also. Camporelli would have had an easier shot. I know he's a fair way out, but they look like the distance isn't a worry. It's just they're not... the accuracy is a real problem with the gusty breeze as the kick has to come back. gee, Carlton have to make the most of this. They have dominated this quarter, but they haven't dominated on the scoreboard. Got some matchup problems too, the Kangaroos. As I said, Corey McGrath, Camporelli's had the best of Brady Rawlings, which hasn't happened all year. So they have to try and tighten up a little bit in the next 5 minutes.
Brady Rawlings just 36 possessions against him in 3 weeks tagging. The likes of Hurd and Judd amongst those scalps. French and Porter. Off hands, Stevens. Harris took him high. Free kick to Nick Stevens. He's 55 from home. High ball inside 50 to the advantage of no Carlton forward at all. Not even sure what his logic was there, who he was going for. Rawlings to Michael Stevens. Will go out wide towards Brent Harvey. He's got a couple of metres on Bannister, but the bounce suited the blue. And Bannister was going to take it to the line, then spotted Prendergast out of the corner of his eye. Didn't come off in the end because Harvey pinched it and gave it to Sinclair, just backward to centre wing. Blues by 9 points. Sinclair to Grant. Evades a tackle. Kicks to half forward. Here's Rocker out on the long lead. Got one hand to it, but never really a chance to mark. French over the top of it. Thornton in on Rocker. Koutafidis arrives as well. And have a ball up as Mark Porter comes to the boundary for the Kangaroos. He's the leading stats getters. Anthony Koutafidis really looming as the man for Carlton this afternoon. Good to see Brent Harvey returning to a bit of form, finding the football. Prendergast and Koutafidis had opposite ideas. Simpson tumbles it inside 50. Chance for Makepeace. He gathers 45 from home. No one back in the goal square, and it'll bounce through. Well, the Blues have dominated the opening 12 minutes of this quarter. The first 8 inside 50s, just one goal out of it. And as we said, Tony, ball went down the other end. First opportunity for the Roos, and Makepeace makes them pay.
Well, he did, and it was only a couple of minutes ago he said, every time you don't convert, you just take the pressure off your opposition. And Troy Makepeace, he's got a different role today. He's playing as a small forward, where normally he plays as a small defender. Very good kick across his body, left footer. He is normally a beautiful kick. So he's got a different role today, and he made the most of it then. But, yep, the Blues, they just have to convert, make the most of the opportunities.
Fast approaching 100 games, Troy Makepeace. Camped on 98. Gets his first for the afternoon. Ball tied up, and we'll have a secondary bounce. Kangaroos trailing by 3 points. Daniel Motlop charges into the centre square. Brown won the tap, only as far as David Teague. High up and under ball, coming through with courage. John McCormick. Terrific mark from the young man. Plays on quickly to the runner in Stevens. Drills the ball low. But that's a disappointing finish to what was a terrific mark. Shannon Watt goes out the outer side of the ground. Kick towards Brown, had to wait. Bounce did him no favours. Ball spills free. Anthony Stevens. Ball will come back, holding the man, or flung in the tackle.
Bit of both, Swanner.
Great mark you said about that mark to John McCormack, because coming the other way was Lee Colbert, who just shows just as much courage. 2 players with eyes for the ball only there.
Dick Morrell, centre wing. Heads back to Brendan from Vola. 80 from home. It's a high up and under kick. Walker to fly. Couldn't take the mark. Ball spills free. Comes out towards Camporelli. With him closely, Brady Rawlings, as you'd expect, will have a bounce directly in front. 30 from goal for Carlton.
So the Blues by 3 points.
Now have a look at this marking contest. There's Colbert, Lee Colbert. You know his courage. Well done, John McCormick. You win respect in the football world for things like that. Fantastic effort.
Brown got the tap. The pylon on top of it. 25 metres out from the Carlton goal. We'll do it all again. Just a bit of a lull in proceedings around the ground at the moment. Carlton supporters just deflated by that last goal to Makepeace against the run of play. Whitnell flew early and gave away a free kick. It's going to Lee Brown. He hands off to the running support of Shannon Grant. He's got Makepeace short. Wants to go further afield. Long to the wing. Lappin caught underneath it. Tried to work a free kick. Watt did it well. He's confronted by 3 Blues. He's got nowhere to go. And numbers will win out for Carlton. Houlihan weaves through some traffic. Put Teague under pressure. And Watt was there to tidy up for the Roos. Can link up with Grant. Grant goes short to Makepeace. 65 from goal.
Wells.
Can go inside 50. Wells by himself. The kick will hold up. Morrell, Petrie. Wasn't intended for Drew Petrie, but it held up in the breeze and fell onto his chest. And the big man can go back from 35 metres out directly in front. Remarkably to give the Kangaroos the lead after Carlton dominated the opening 10 minutes of the second term.
I've got to say, Wayne, in our day when we played the game, and I played a bit earlier than you, people had courage, you know that, but the modern day footballer now, it's just unacceptable not to show it. And Drew Petrie, he didn't know what was coming from behind then, just the ball held up, great mark.
He likes it off the boot, he claps it through. And the Kangaroos are back in front at Optus Oval. Super Saturday on Fox Footy. It's the Roos 5-3-33. The Blues 4-6-30. 16 and a half minutes gone, second term.
We can see here Shannon Watt and Shannon Grant, I think, has had 4 handball receives in the last 5 minutes to get into the game. Troy Makepeace, just a big kick. I thought it was going to Daniel Wells, who's behind this pack. And look at Drew Petrie. Digby Morrell, that's somebody who just wants the ball on any occasion. It doesn't matter what's going to happen to him, whether he's going to get hurt or not. Just fantastic play. And as I said, it's a great trait of the modern day footballer.
Kicks the goal, contests the ruck, work in the centre square. On hands and knees, McCormick towards Camporelli, went without it. Bannister over the top. We'll have another bounce. But as you said, Tony, Carlton had to make the most of their opportunities early.
Dennis Pagan, he would be sitting in the coach's box scratching his head saying, these players are having a go, but we just haven't converted, and now they're behind on the scoreboard. There's no justice in general play sometimes.
28 players in or around the centre square for that bounce. Ball socket out of the centre square by Morrell. It's a foot race. Kangaroos with all the numbers. Adam Simpson goes back to Brent Harvey. Has 2 goals. Decides to have a bounce in heavy traffic. Gets it over to Makepeace. Is proving a handful up forward. Back to Brent Harvey. Gets a shepherd from Petrie. 60 from goal. Goes towards the pocket. Poor kick. Chipping in to take the mark. David T. Releases Thornton. Motlop in pursuit. Goes short. Finds Lappin. Johnson wants it out wide. Decides to come the near side of the ground. Kick towards Houlihan. Tracking it over the line is Brad Fisher. We'll have a bounce. Wing position, broadcast side of the ground. Carlton kicked the first of the second quarter. Had all the play for the opening 10 minutes, and then the Kangaroos responded with 2 consecutive goals. McCormack got in front. Johnson put his teammate McCormack under some pressure. Flung to the ground. We'll have another bounce.
It's one area of the game I think the Blues have dominated has been the clearances. They've been tougher in it, the clearances, and especially the centre bounce. I think just Barnaby French, as he just wipes the face of Lee Brown there. Gee, it's on behind play too.
15-10 the clearances, Tony, and 6-1 out of the centre, as you mentioned. So the Blues have had a good dominance in there. The ruck combination's been unsettled for the Kangaroos in 2004 as Rawlings and Bannister get to know each other just to the left of screen. Throw in. Breeze affecting that as well. Camporelli through traffic, got clean ball. Tumbles it to half forward. Fisher and Watt. Watt worked him towards the boundary line. Gathers the football. Looks up, assesses his options. He's got a couple of men alone in the middle. Went shorter. It's a difficult day to spot up targets in these conditions. Anthony Stevens. Handball to open space. Stevens spins through a tackle. Dishes off a handball to Johnson. Johnson to Camporelli, and now Fisher on the end of the chain. He can sweep it back to Morrell. Favola leads to the pocket. Walker's by himself inside 50. The kick will hang a long time. Walker will come in from the side, but Colbert will stand tall. That kick not to the advantage of Andrew Walker. And Camporelli's slow to get up behind the plate. There's been plenty of niggle. Grant taken to the line by Koutafidis. Umpire says throw it in as Scott Camporelli receives some assistance behind plate. He's coming off, Scott Camporelli. DeLuca replaces him. Johnson, quick hands. Koutafidis looking for DeLuca. Being harassed by Harris. 0-0 draw at ground level. Ball up.
A fraction late there by Brady Rawlings. I don't know how powerful the hit was, but Scott Camporelli, he's had the better of Brady Rawlings today. He's done a great job just trying to read the ball off the pack and running full chat through that contest.
Well, it's powerful enough for him to come off the ground, I suppose.
Yeah,
Use that as an indication.
It is an issue.
Advantage paid. Wells away. Everybody stopped, including Daniel Wells. He lopes to 55. Wells to 50. Can line them up. This would sting. Goes for home. And misses left. Fortunately for the ground managers here, because they probably lose a grandstand. Otherwise, the Carlton fans would have gone feral over that one.
Guys, Scott Camporelli's just given the doctor the all clear. He's fine.
Nick Stevens will have the kick in. The Roos by 4 points.
That's the one thing about the advantage rule. You hope that the umpires can call advantage without blowing the whistle, because as soon as the whistle goes, everybody stops.
Nick Stevens to himself. Bannister the target. Couldn't take the mark. Has support. McCormick to Houlihan. Accepted the tackle, but held it too long. Holding the ball. Good persistence, Troy Makepeace. Has Shannon Grant in the pocket if he goes quickly. Ignores that. Petrie wants it short. That lead's ignored as well. Carlton have done well, got plenty of numbers back, which has resulted in Makepeace going back to Lee Brown, who pumps the ball long. It's a high up and under kick. Standing his ground, that's a strong mark. Heath Scotland. Switches play. Carlton with numbers. Thornton has Fisher if he wants. Comes back inboard.
Danger.
And heads back where it once came from. Morrell had to wait. Petrie, good tackle. Ball out of bounds. The crowd, the Kangaroos supporters want holding the ball, but that's good forward pressure, Tony, from the Kangaroos players.
I said it was danger because the thing was when Thornton came back, he had Motlop chasing him, who was very quick, so he had to kick the ball. And good tackle by Drew Petrie.
Throw in, attacking 50 for the Kangaroos. Scotland off the pack. Got it to Thornton, who releases Stevens. They're away the Blues. David Teague, but there's nothing further up the ground. Has to stop and prop. Comes back inboard. DeLuca the target. Good spoil Colbert. Walker, read it best. Got it free to the Johnson runner. They have numbers near side of the ground. Lappin all alone. Takes an easy chest mark. Lee Brown couldn't do much about that. Had to leave his direct opponent. Poor marking from the Kangaroos players further up the ground. But it was a good kick. Good vision by Brett Johnson. Rather than just banging it long, spotted a teammate in Matthew Lappin. He'll have a shot. Slight angle, 45 from goal. Starts it right and brings it back. Kicks a beautiful goal. Carlton get their 5th. And they're in front by 2 points.
I'm going to go back to the other end of the ground. David Teague has had 12 possessions now, and Daniel Motlop has had 3. That's his opponent. Something has to happen there for the Kangaroos. Either give him a rest and try someone else in that area. But, gee, fantastic play by Andrew Walker again. Look at his handball. He knew what he was doing. Even if it didn't go to his man, it was going to run along the ground. That is smart play by a very young player. And then the kick across his body, and Lappin just runs on to an easy mark. Been hard to convert, even though up that end, so that was a good finish by Matty Lappin.
Blues had some numbers fall to the football on that occasion, that's for sure. And Matthew Lappin on the end of it to finish the job for the Blues. French's tap, pinched by Simpson, now for Rito, towards half forward for Michael Stevens. Wheels onto the right boot, inside 50. Houlihan has to go back with courage. Gets flattened by Rocker. Spills to Motlop. Teague to run him down. A free kick coming back. It's going to go Carlton's way.
Oh, it had to go.
Ryan Houlihan.
Look at it. He's down at the moment, but it had to go to Houlihan because Sav Rocker didn't have eyes for the ball. You can see there, no eyes, no attempt to mark the ball. It has to be a free kick to Houlihan. He's not well.
A little bit like the Thornton one at the other end, Tony, which resulted in a goal and a 50-metre penalty to Brent Harvey. Rocker's coming out thundering on a lead, pulls out at the last minute and still makes contact. We just sort of see him at the very last minute there. Well, so that was actually leading for the footy.
If you're trying, if you're trying to mark the ball, Jason, you have your hands up in the air, don't you? At no time did he have his hands above, just above his hips.
No, braced himself for contact about 5 metres out. And here's Scotland at defensive 50. Goes to the wing. Prendergast with sure hands takes the mark in front of Wells. Houlihan sore and sorry. Saved a goal for his team. Prendergast launches it long towards half forward. Big pack of players. Ground level Koutafidis looking dangerous this afternoon. Spears it inside 50, clears for Vola, bounces towards the pocket. Sinclair first man back, diffuses the situation with a rush behind. But Anthony Koutafidis really starting to look ominous in this game.
It's been a long time since we've seen Anthony Koutafidis show the ball with one hand, Tony.
Yeah, and pick the ball up at top speed. He's had problems with leg injuries, and on that occasion, that's exactly what he did about 3 years ago.
Stephen short to the back pocket and finds Sinclair. Dying stages of the second term. Carlton has it in front of the Social Club. The switch of play is on. He's got a man well and truly by himself. It's Ferrito. He's got about 40 metres. The only man near him is Davies, who's giving chase to Sinclair. The shepherd from Ferrito buys Sinclair some time. Motlop comes to put a shepherd on as well. Sinclair runs to the wing, kicks to half forward. They've got some men in space. Wells is tracking back unmarked to the goal square. Jones spots him. Kick hangs in the breeze. Wells will come over the top, and the Blues get numbers back. The danger passes. Scotland sprays it wide, and the Roos will get one more chance before half-time. 51 seconds on the clock. The ball's with Motlop. He goes inboard to Shane Harvey. Third possession. Inside 50. Again, Carlton back in numbers. Lappin will pick it off. Goes towards Fisher. Watt works him underneath it. Umpire calls play on. Harvey tries to swat Fisher away. Can't break free. Did release the hands. Got it to Simpson. Now to Corey Jones. Under 30 seconds left. Jones without many options. Tries to nutmeg McCormick. Bannister. He's taken down. Sinclair. Ball up.
Well, Corey Jones then, he was hemmed in on the boundary line, and he just thought, well, I can't go over the top, so I'll go through his legs. Just didn't get away with it. Gee, the Kangaroos have changed their setup now. Sav Rockers off the ground, and they're gone with 3 small players in their forward line.
Petrie went early. Morrell got the handball away only as far as Brent Harvey, but he couldn't keep it in. We'll have a throw in. Approaching half-time. Carlton in front by 3 points. They got the first. The Kangaroos replied with the next 2. And Carlton got one back late. Throw in. Wing position. Petrie and French. There's the siren for half-time. Entertaining first half here at Optus Oval. Carlton 5-7-37 lead the Kangaroos 5-4-34. Plenty of mistakes in the first half, but you would think that the coaches will do their best to make sure that both sides come out in the second half, minimise mistakes, convert your opportunities, and put some scoreboard pressure when you have the opportunity.
Good game of footy, half-time. Super Saturday on Fox Footy. It's the Blues by 3 points.
This summer, we're delving deep into our collection.
In the vicinity of Carey.
To give you all the best footy action from the Fox Footy archives.
Well, he's had a rock and rolling season, down and out, and back he comes. Can he finish it off with a goal? Billy, you are king of the world. The monkey's off the back, Billy.
The Fox Footy archives all summer on Fox Footy Channel.
You'll never know. Her favourite colour is purple. You'll never know she wants to be a ballerina. You'll never know her family has just been evicted. You'll never know how much your gift means. That's why it means so much. Find the true meaning of Christmas and place your gift under the Kmart wishing tree.
It's all about raw emotion now at every level. Hawthorn down by a point. It could change. And the mark is taken by Hall. The huge cloud is lifted. What a game. What a story.
Third term at Optus Oval. The Blues leading by 3 points. Porter back in the ruck for the Kangaroos, up against French. Anthony Stevens couldn't get an effective boot to ball. Brett Johnson back to Stevens, handball smothered. Stevens again goes in for a third effort. This time he does manage to successfully dish it out. Rawlings links up with Shannon Watt. High ball towards half forward. Lappin in best position. He goes up and takes an uncontested mark. Walker has worked off his man to centre wing. Takes possession. Will head inboard towards 50. Whitnell sandwiched.
Free kick.
And we'll get a free kick.
Had to go against Shannon Watt. Didn't have eyes on the ball and just ran straight at Lance Whitnell and made contact.
So Lance Whitnell 60 from goal. Wants to move it on quickly. Koutafidis is the target. And he hits him on the chest 40 metres out. Chance for the Blues to get the ideal start in this third term.
Well, they set up at the centre bounce. They set up as a pagan paddock, and we can see the free kick here. Has to be a free kick against Shannon Watt. No eyes on the ball at all. Well done to Lance Whitnell. He's a player I think needs to lift. As I said, one key forward for either side. Could be the difference between winning or losing this game.
He's had a good day, Koutafidis. Coming up for his 12th possession. He's already kicked a goal. And this to open up a handy buffer again for the Blues. Starts it right, tries to work it back, but can't. And in the end, it just scrapes in for a minor score. Anthony Koutafidis with 1 goal, 1 for the afternoon. The Blues leading by 4 points.
Kangaroos have made a change in their forward line. Daniel Motlop could be on the bench, I would think, and they push Lee Brown forward, and that means David Teague, who is one of the best players on the ground in the first half, has to go to him.
Michael Stevens drives it long up towards the wing. Waiting down Shannon Grant. Gives it off to Daniel Wells. Comes back inboard to Jess Sinclair. Short to Michael Stevens. Working his way up the ground. Petrie on the lead. Getting in front, taking an easy mark though. Ryan Hawhan. Got Fisher wide if he wants. Goes further afield. Intended target Prendergast. Well,
gee, that has
take the mark. Could have been 50 metres too, Anthony, against Anthony Stevens. And is. Well, unnecessary Anthony Stevens as he pleads his case with umpire Scott Jeffrey. But the mark was clearly taken. Got one for his trouble. There's no arguments there.
You just got to wonder, you know, Anthony Stevens, with all the experience that he had, Wayne, why would you do something like that and give maybe a goal to the opposition when you would have been kicking from 70 metres out? Wouldn't have had a genuine shot. Amazing for a senior player.
Ian Prendergast, 30 metres out, slight angle. Pushes it across the face of goal though, wrong side of the post. So again, similar to that second quarter, Tony, early opportunities, just not converting on the scoreboard.
No, you're right there. We just mentioned at half-time what the coaches would have said, and exactly that. Have to put scoreboard pressure on the Kangaroos before the last quarter starts.
The Blues butchering some chances. Have kicked 2 goals 8 from between 15 and 40 metres out this afternoon. Hence, they only lead by 5 points. Had 5 more scoring shots. The Kangaroos well and truly in the contest and have already demonstrated the ability to score against the run of play. Throw in centre wing. Johnson got first hands on the football, but Wells took him to ground. They'll have a bounce.
I'll tell you who's become a very important player for the Blues team is Ian Prendergast. A lot of people said that, you know, maybe with some of his limitations in skills that he mightn't play a lot of football, but he's now playing on Daniel Wells. Now, for a 6'3" player with that, he's got great athleticism. He's been very important for the Blues.
Whitnell, clean hands to Walker, tumbles it inside 50. It's a 2-on-1. And easy for Lee Colbert to pick him off. And Colbert will switch play. He's got 2 runners to the outer side, Sinclair and Archer. Former takes possession. Tumbles a kick, but Jones has got plenty of time to gather. Dishes it back to Sinclair. They build around the outer side. Makepeace gets a screen and then puts it out of bounds on the full.
Gee, the Kangaroos' use of the football coming forward, they've just chipped the ball around too much. They're accumulating possessions for each other, but gee, it's so indirect that the Carlton defence or Carlton midfielders could get back and help their defence.
Not a lot of fluency in the game in either direction, but particularly hitting the Kangaroos' way is Bannister. Goes long to a contest on centre wing. Fisher at ground level, couldn't get the hands free. Johnson tries to do so, flipped it to Koutafidis. Out of the congestion to McGrath. The kick to the advantage of Brown. He's wrapped up by Teague. Can't get the ball free. We'll have a ball up.
Anthony Koutafidis, just the great ability to keep his hands up so that he can't be tackled with the ball once he comes out of a pack.
Away from the congestion. Corey Jones on centre wing. Good hands to Petrie. Now Grant back to Jones. Stevens will run him down. He just escapes. Koutafidis arrives late. Arm slipped over the shoulder. Free kick, Corey Jones.
They're just trying to fabricate something, aren't they, the Kangaroos? They're trying to find a way to get through the lines. I think they've been belting around the packs, which is saying something, because the Kangaroos have got one of the best. We can see the free kick there, Anthony Koutafidis, no doubt across the shoulder. But they're just trying to make things up to get him a chance of having a shot on goal. And now Corey Jones, you have to go for the left-hand goal post here, because every ball has gone to the right from his kicking position.
He's been good for a goal a game in his 51 games. Hasn't scored this afternoon. A chance to give the Roos the lead once again. The last led at the 21-minute mark of the second term. Jones, it's fading right again. Minor score. So a relatively flat opening to the third term, as is so often the case in modern-day football. And the Blues lead it by 4 points. Ryan Houlihan with the kicking in duties.
Not a lot on. Heads out broadcast side of the ground. Prendergast to fly. Carlton had too many players up. Ball spills free over the back. Adam Simpson leads the race. Goes back to Ferrito. Can come inboard to Cole, but ignores that. Drives it long inside 50 again. Lapping over the top. Took a good mark over Corey Jones. Defensive 50. Goes back to French. Evades the lunging Petrie. Bit proppy after that attempted tackle, Drew Petrie. Ball ends up in the hands of Houlihan. Kicks down the line towards Teague. Good spoil, Brown. Out of bounds, we'll have a throw in. Wing position.
And you can just see there from our camera work is that the Pagans paddock is in operation. All players for Vola up the ground. The only person inside 50 is Andrew Walker for Carlton at the moment.
Whitnell gets the tap down. Coming through Jones. Got it on the bounce to Wells. In heavy traffic. Did well. Centres the ball. Scotland taken out. Advantage paid. No. By Scott McLaren. Brings the ball back. We've seen it all afternoon though, Tony. Some great courage by both sides throughout the course of the afternoon.
Here's Scotland.
Houlihan, centre of the ground, forward of the centre circle now. Keeps the ball low for Vola, got rid of Archer.
It's a free kick behind play against Glenn Archer. And the umpire's had a good look at it.
Carlton player down.
And he's going to report him. What happened was the block was on, I think it might be Fisher, is it?
Scott Camporelli.
Scott Camporelli. Favola went back on the lead, went towards goals, and then turned around and came at the ball carrier, and it was going to be his mark, and he did mark it, as you called, Wayne. But as he did that, just out of the corner of my eye, Glenn Archer just gave Scott Camporelli one around the neck. And here's the ball that comes in, and there goes Scott Camporelli. Favola was going to mark the ball anyway. Whether it's a block, I know, look, Scott Camporelli, there's no doubt about the free kick going his way. But gee, it makes it so hard for defenders. This is a problem in the game, that a player, a forward, can block a defender 30 or 40 metres off the ball. They may be further away, just so he can give his full forward a free run at the play. Got to be looked at by the umpires. That's what the third umpire's about.
It's going at 50% this year, 14 goals, 7. This for number 15. Important goal for Carlton. And kicks it. Carlton get the first of the third quarter. The margin now out to 10 points. There's about 12 Carlton teammates of Scott Camporelli there, Tony, that made a beeline for Scott after he kicked the goal, and I think that's probably symptomatic of where the two sides are at the moment in this third quarter.
Well, you said at half-time in the rooms that it looked like the Kangaroos were trying to manufacture enthusiasm. We can just see there Scott Camporelli going down behind play, and Favola would have marked the ball and had another shot anyway, so maybe the conversion would have been the same. But you're right, the Blues, they look like they're up. They're emotionally involved in the game a little bit more than the Kangaroos. Kangaroos have got to remember there's a final 8 spot up for grabs.
I think you'd rather make a beeline for Scott Camporelli than Glenn Archer, wouldn't you? Drew Petrie. Brought to ground. Prendergast over the top. Secondary bounce and a bit more niggle in there. There's been plenty of spite in this game. There's French and Petrie in the foreground.
Well, Dean Laley would not be happy with what's happened with Anthony Stevens giving a 50-metre penalty away and then Glenn Archer giving that free kick away. And there's got to be a free kick or something off the ball.
That's patent stupidity. It wasn't even off the ball. It was right in front of the umpire from Barnaby French.
Gee, Dennis Pagan would not be happy with that. You've got to keep in control. You do nothing when you've got the ball in your hand to give it to the opposition.
Petrie inside 50, and Rocky could make them pay. Adam Simpson goes up to congratulate Barnaby French, as does Drew Petrie. In fact, the Roos coming from everywhere in the middle of the ground to give it to Barnaby French. And the runner comes out to speak to Barnaby as well.
Well done by Lee Brown. There goes Barnaby. And Dennis Pagan has always done this in his career.
Dennis will be the next in line to speak to Barnaby.
You know, that is just uncalled for. No one's got the ball. If you've got the ball, you never do anything to give it up. And of course, Dennis Pagan was in control of the Kangaroos for a long period of time. Didn't matter what name it was. If you're undisciplined, you pay the price.
Rocker to really rub it into Barnaby French. A low trajectory kick across the face of goal. It's play on. Houlihan will step over the line, and there'll be a rush behind. So the damage not as severe as it otherwise may have been. So Rocker not making sweet connection with the kick. The Blues by 9 points. This game delicately poised. 11.5 minutes gone, third term. Lappin to bring it back into play. He'll go long. Prendergast and Koutafidis out there. DeLuca as well for the Blues. And numbers at ground level, more importantly. Walker broke away. Kick went nowhere in particular. It's a 3-on-1. Favola would be happy to break even. He won't get that chance. Colbert holds it up. Waits for an option. Then goes long to the wing. Morell and Fisher go back with the flight. But they both went up and no one stayed down. Watt to Simpson. Shane Harvey flips it over the top. Both sides with numbers behind the football. Houlihan. Now Morell. He floats it to McGrath. Simpson takes him to the line. Throw in.
The other thing about Barnaby French and turning that ball over is that, you know, the Kangaroos have come out and they've given 2 free kicks away, undisciplined free kicks. There's a trend that keeps flowing. You don't want to change that trend. You want them to be the ones who aren't doing the right thing.
Morell flies third man up. Scotland sharks the ball. Kicks it only as far as Shannon Watt. Has a player loose. Lee Brown, middle of the ground. Decides to go. Corey Jones is broke. Further out the other side. Good kick. Lunging mark. Sits it up for Michael Stevens. Needed a kind bounce. Ball wins that race out of bounds. So that's probably a disappointing result there, Tony. Ball going inside 50 for the Kangaroos.
Well, it's the way they're playing their football. The style is the issue at the moment with the Kangaroos. If he had marked the ball, Wayne, he wasn't going to have a very good shot on goal anyway.
Adam Simpson, the leading possession winner on the ground at the moment. His direct opponent, Anthony Koutafidis, with 13.
Difficult to spot targets today, Wayne. Both sides running at pretty high levels of ineffective kicks. The Blues going at about 30% and the Kangaroos at 25. So 1 in 4 from the Roos just not hitting a target.
Bounce, 49 metres from goal for Carlton. Corey Jones. Daniel Wells went without it. Anthony Koutafidis gets the ball back in the direction of Johnson. Drills the pass. It's a good one to Favola. Only has one teammate further up the field. Decides to give it back to Johnson. Good running. Bereft of options. Can go towards 50 now. Loads up. Kick won't make the distance. Distance not a problem in the end, but accuracy. Brett Johnson. And from both ends, Tony, we're seeing wasteful opportunities missed.
Yes, and should have done better than Brett Johnson. He some hard running from halfback. He was involved in the first stanza of play.
Got to know your limitations, don't you? Brett Johnson wasn't going to kick that from 50 on the run. Rawlings takes it to the line.
And these two have a go. They've been at it all day, and Scott Camporelli has had the better of that contest. Brady Rawlings has been a sensational run with negating player all season.
Not sure if he's got some claret around the mouth there, Scott Camporelli. We might get another look at that shortly. Brown got the tap. It was beautifully worked down to Adam Simpson. And a screen. He ran a long way. Too far.
Well, this is the issue with their forward line at the moment. The way they're bringing the ball in, the forwards don't know where to lead, Jason. And he just kept running, hoping a forward would come at him. No one moved in the forward 50 for the Kangaroos. As here he goes. He looks up. What's going on? Do I chip this ball over? I go long.
Kick comes into Whitnell. 21 steps there from Adam Simpson. Inside 50. Koutafidis. Couldn't take the mark. Johnson at ground level. Kouta lays a tackle. Another ball up as Archer and Camporelli square up for round 2. Halfway through the third term, the Blues by 10 points. Lee Brown uncontested in the ruck. Rawlings tried to pounce on it. Here's Camporelli with vigour on Archer. The eyes lit up when he realised who it was. Ball up, just inside the boundary line.
Gee, I've been really wrapped with the way Scott Camporelli's gone about his game today.
Yeah, he does have some blood from the mouth. The umpire's just gone in and said, look, it's not active bleeding. He's allowed to stay out there, but probably from that earlier Archer incident. Brown the tap. Out of bounds again. It's just in a lull at the moment, Tony, isn't it? Waiting for someone to take it by this game by the throat.
Well, what the Blues have done, they brought Brendan Favola, the centre half forward. That brings Archer up the ground, and they're playing Fisher and Prendergast out of the goal square.
There is Favola in the ruck. Tried to slap it into some open space. Camporelli lays some heavy body on Colbert. Kutafides in over the top of it. Colbert, gang tackle, going nowhere. Camporelli takes him to ground. Another ball up, 45 metres out from the Carlton goal.
And I think more importantly for Carlton's point of view, Tony, is the fact that Daniel Wells is Brett Fisher's direct opponent, and that takes him back to the goal square defensive end. So you're taking one of the strike weapons of the Kangaroos out of the play effectively.
Yeah, good pick-up, Wayne. You have to change that matchup. Get a defender to go back on the Fisher.
Corey Jones, third man up. Shannon Watt got it to his skipper in Adam Simpson, who releases Michael Stevens. Comes back inboard with some dash, has a bounce, second, forward to the centre, towards centre half forward, Teague with the spoil, staying down on the ground, roving it well. Shane Harvey in his first game, kick lets him down, out of bounds.
It's on the outer wing.
Oh, there's a
Stevens and Bannister in there for the Blues.
And it was on for about a minute. They were both on the ground. Stevens and Grant, it looks like. And Bannister's there with Harvey.
Yeah, it was a 2-on-1, a bit of American doubles.
Gee, it's all happening in this game.
They've sorted themselves out. Throw in right forward pocket for the Kangaroos. Motlop dragged off the ball. Teague sandwiched between two Kangaroos players.
Well, the Kangaroos now, they've got to turn their direction to the football. They've got to start winning some hard in and unders because, again, Carlton, the Kangaroos have been great all year, but that's where Carlton's winning this game.
Only Brendan Favola and Glenn Archer forward of the centre circle for Carlton. All the other players forward of the centre for the Kangaroos as we have a secondary bounce. Important play coming up for the Kangaroos, you'd think, Tony. Carlton in front by 10 points. Goals are hard to come by.
Well, I would say if Carlton were to kick the next goal, that would have been the biggest margin in the game, you would think.
Rocker with the tap down. Sharking it, Nick Stevens. Petrie and Lappin. Has support in Jess Sinclair. Clean one-handed pickup. Kicks the ball around the corner. Shannon Grant slipped at the vital moment. Ball stops and props. Good pickup. Adrian DeLuca for a big man around his feet. Frees up Morrell. Wants to come back inboard now. Has Walker short in the middle of the ground. That's where he heads. Couldn't take the mark. Brushes off the tackler. Lappin breaks free. Favola's got loose. Will the kick carry? Yes, it does. Brendan Favola is giving Glenn Archer the runaround without sounding too critical. There's not a great deal of pressure, Tony, further up the ground.
No, that's it. And again, they set up with Pagan's paddock, and well done by Walker. Bad tackle then. You've got to take those tackles and make sure that they stick. And he just set up Favola. He has given Archer the runaround for the whole game. Hasn't had enough supply to really make it work. But, gee, this is a big kick in the context of this game.
Scott Camporelli getting some directions or instructions from Dennis Pagan. Brendan Favola has 1-2 for the afternoon. As we mentioned, goals are very hard to come by this afternoon. Important kick in the context of the game. This for goal number 2, and this for the biggest margin in the afternoon. Steady in his approach. Starts it out right, and that's where it'll stay. 1-3 for the afternoon.
Blues just can't take their chances at the moment. 6-11-47. The Roos 5-6-36. 17 scoring shots to 11. Here's Tiff.
Scott Camporelli just indicating to the medical staff the right side of his face. He got a knock there, but he's just taking a rest.
Troy Makepeace with the kick in. Goes to himself. Options dry up in front of him. Favola in best position to bring it straight back for the Blues. What's he got inside 50?
Free kick against Matty Lappin off the ball that he shepherded off his Kangaroos opponent and stopped him from running into the contest when Favola marked.
So Simpson will get the resultant free kick.
Let's have a look here. Matty Lappin behind. Oh, gee, what he had to do, Matty Lappin had to put his hands in the air. You could just see him behind Favola just to make out that he might have even looked like marking the ball. That's all he had to do, and he would have got away with that.
You are entitled to hold your ground, though, aren't you? Which is all he was doing, really. He didn't step into his path. As Simpson goes towards half forward, beautifully read off the pack by Motlop. DeLuca takes him to the line for a throw-in.
You are, but the umpires, they like to see that you have your hands in the air. And look, it's just a gimmick in one way for the players, a technique that you need to use to show that, yes, I'm going to be in the marking contest, even if you're not.
French back on the ground after his earlier indiscretion. Petrie got the tap. Camporelli somehow got boot to ball in the midst of that heavy traffic. Only as far as Lee Brown. The Kangaroos, the switch is on. Makepeace will be the first link in the chain. He can go further wide. Rocker comes steaming out on the lead. It won't get that far. The mark taken by Archer. 55 from home, called to play on. Has to balk around the runner. Gets onto the left boot. Spears it inside 50. Still alive for the Roos in the pocket. French run down by Motlop. Ball spills for Grant. He runs over the top of it. McGrath hacks it out of there, and Walker's a chance if he can keep it alive. He does. And the Blues can build around the outer side. McCormick, ugly looking kick. Gave Lappin little chance, and even worst case scenario, it was a 2-on-1 in favour of the Roos. Archer tidies up to Makepeace. Can have a bounce. He's had 3. Can steam through centre half forward and hit Petrie on the lead. Well, they paid the penalty for that ordinary kick from John McCormick. Lappin couldn't get it to the line. It was a 2-on-1. And now Petrie with a shot for goal.
Well, I hope our viewers can see what we're seeing here. I think Carlton have dominated the last 2 quarters as Sav Rocket comes off the ground also for the Kangaroos. I think they've dominated the last 2 quarters in general play, but again, we say it a number of times, they haven't capitalised at all. So, you know, look, they've just got to make sure that they hang in there. And the Kangaroos, as Wayne Swass said at half-time, they are trying to generate things, but they are flat. And not a lot of emotion in the team at the moment. Let's see what happens if he kicks a goal.
8 possessions, 2 marks and a goal already to Petrie. He likes it. And the Roos hang in once again. Marching back to 5 points. Drew Petrie has 2 goals. And it's the Kangaroos 6-6-42. Just 5 points in arrears of Carlton. 6-11-47. 22.5 minutes gone. Third term at Optus Oval as Lance Whitnell comes off for a spell.
Well, Troy Makepeace here, it looks like he's been pushed back. He started as a small forward today, and now looks like he's coming off half-back, which he is. He's on the back of the square. Great kick to Petrie. And even after they kicked this goal, I don't know, I didn't notice it wasn't cock a hoop of confidence back to him. You can see a couple of players run over, give him high fives, but they need more. You've got to generate it yourself if it is flat within the camp.
6-11 leads 6-6. 4.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. French went early. Ball spills out. Anthony Stevens chips the ball high for Brent Harvey. Closing quick was McCormack, but Brent Harvey took a good mark under some pressure. Has 2 goals, both kicked in the first quarter, Brent Harvey. Quiet game last week with 2 kicks. Gives it back to Anthony Stevens. Goes long inside 50. T getting back. Dropped the mark. Has support in Houlihan. It's a gentle push from Shane Harvey. We'll have a throw in. Left forward pocket. Forward 50 for the Kangaroos.
She's a Carlton forward line now. Walker, Norman, Koutafidis and Favola.
Brown and French lock arms. Morrell gives it to Teague, who finds Fisher. Not too sure which way to go. Back to Thornton. Did him no favours. Has time to steady. Finds Fisher. Scotland straight through his arms. Ferrito to Motlop. Adam Simpson has to track backwards to Lee Brown. Scrappy play from both sides. Lee Brown evades the tackler. Kick smothered. Morrell stands his ground. The only Kangaroos player there was Harris. And relieving momentarily was David Teague. Heads towards the safety of the boundary line. And that's where it heads. We'll have a throw in.
Oh, I think he's Scotland. I think the sun was in his eye. You can just see the sun coming into play there. There's no excuse for that other than the sun being in his eyes.
Was that the Doosra?
Or yeah, it might have been the Doosra. Or do you think that this game's just low? It's gone that low at the moment. They can't even grab the ball.
French. Koutafidis up. Palmed it down to McGrath. Boot to ball. Davies back with a flight. Takes the mark on centre wing. Some clean possession required. Here's Walker. Inside 50. It's a 1-on-1. The kick to the advantage of Archer. Favola somehow got into the contest, but couldn't keep his feet. And Archer will clear for the Roos. to Harvey, backward of the centre. He marks in front of Bannister, who's keen to hold him up. Harvey barges away. Can go for a bounce. This game really opened up. Neither side able to make the opposition pay, though. Harvey's now run himself into trouble. Makepeace, hands off to Sinclair. He'll have a flying shot for goal, Sinclair. And that's about where it's at, out of bounds on the full. As we head for three-quarter time, the Blues by 5 points. It's a contest. It's not much more than that at the moment. Houlihan to bring it back into play. Importantly for the Roos, it really doesn't matter what the quality of the game's like or how clean and pretty it is. They just need the 4 points to stay in the 8. Camporelli, Davies. Houlihan, advantage paid. An off-the-ball incident. Brent Harvey being remonstrated with by Scott Camporelli as Fisher goes high towards the centre of the ground. Over the top, Colbert couldn't bring it down. McCormick at ground level, kicks into open space. Again, it's a 2-on-1 in favour of the Roos. Ball bounces towards Archer. He goes to ground. Favola wraps him up. Archer will get a free kick. The arm just slid over the shoulder.
Just been watching Brendan Favola, just getting a little bit upset with what's happening, frustrated at the moment.
Davies coming off the ground. Some claret around the mouth. As King has it forward to centre wing. High ball inside 50 to the top of the goal square. Ball still alive for the Roos. Grant throws it on his boot, snaps it back. Amidst the mediocrity, Grant's kicked a beauty. Scott Camporelli argues the point. He believes it was behind the stick. Goal to Shannon Grant. As Thornton and Rawlings square up in the goal square. We saw Davies off, receiving some treatment from a wound around the mouth. And suddenly the Roos are back in front, 7-6 to 6-11.
Well, Shannon Grant, some sanity's come to this game, and there's Shannon Grant's shot on goal. All the Blues, he was pretty happy with it straight away. That doesn't normally happen if you think you've missed the goal. And we can see Motlop. He's got to get involved in the game. That was David King who kicked that ball forward for the Kangaroos. That was his first possession for the game.
Brendan Favola.
Yeah, as I said, he's looked like he's becoming a little bit frustrated with what's happening out there. And Dennis is probably going to get him on the phone, I would think, and say, look, just settle down.
Johnson off the line. Good smother, Harris. Stevens. Harris affects the tackle. Ball spills free towards Jess Sinclair. Wrapped up by Stevens' tackle. Coming through Johnson again. The goal scorer, Shannon Grant, got it out to David King. Quiet afternoon so far. Gives it off to Brent Harvey. Has two. Undecided which way to go. Brady Rawlings, terrific pickup. Evades two to Carlton tacklers. To Daniel Harris, 48 from goal. Kick off the side of his boot. Shane Harvey. Brent Harvey, apologies.
Yeah. Oh, Brent would hate that, wouldn't he?
Nah, this is going to be a free kick against Harvey. He just shoved his opponent into the back, in the back, and then it went into the other Carlton player who had front position to mark that ball.
Got the cannon.
The cannon he did.
Corey McGrath has worked tirelessly all afternoon, 12 possessions. That for number 13 has Thornton. Gets around Shane Harvey. To a loose teammate, Walker slipped. Has time. Pressured by Motlop. Comes back inboard to Bannister. He's got space in front of him. Has a bounce. Back edge of the square now. Kick needs to be a good one. In the direction of Lappin. Over his head. Stevens coming through. There's a whistle. Kangaroos free kick. Advantage paid. Anthony Stevens relieves.
Still time for the Roos. 35 seconds remaining as Makepeace gathers from Brown. Makepeace will go to half forward. Out on the lead is Shane Harvey at pitch just in front of him. And that'll let McGrath in the door for Carlton. Kick to the wing, it's to a contest. Ball still alive, 20 seconds left. McCormick goes down, a clash of heads, he's in trouble. Comes to Morrell, 17 seconds left for the Blues. They need a mark at 50, Fisher's got it. It's a wide open forward line, 10 seconds remaining. He can load up. Teague has run forward inside 50. Stevens has got to stand tall, but Teague will mark. Siren will sound. Teague gets it on the boot and goals. Right on the three-quarter time siren. The Blues lead at the final change. And that was the most exciting 45 seconds of the last hour.
You're right there, just great movement of the ball. Well done, David Teague. We see McCormick, the clash of heads. He's up and walking, he'll be right. And we'll get a replay on this. You can just see he's got his eyes on the ball. And Michael Stevens...
copped a bit of footy in there as well.
But gee, I think David Teague's been one of the best players on the ground. He just ran the lines and kept his head up. As a matter of fact, good smart move because it's been hard to convert at that end. He ran into an open goal instead of going back for a set shot, making him a shorter kick.
Goals of premium in that third term, just 2 apiece. And the Blues, through David Teague, take the lead at three-quarter time. In the last second, they lead by 5 points. Super Saturday at Optus Oval.
In 1998, Des Headland, Adam Ramanauskas and Brendan Favola entered The Draft.
Am I nervous? Nah, not really.
This compelling documentary follows the 17-year-olds on the beginning of their journey as elite footballers.
I don't think anybody really understands what mentally these players go through.
And illustrates how the ultimate success of the journey lies not with them, but in the hands of coaches and talent scouts.
We're the men that are charged with making decisions on whether that dream lives or dies.
The Draft, Friday, 7:30 Eastern on Fox Footy Channel.
This November on BBC World, it's the soundtrack of our lives from the cotton fields to the Cotton Club. From big bands to music icons. Starting this November, an 8-part series, Walk On By, the story of popular song. How can the world fight against an enemy, spreading its influence while deep in hiding? With exclusive interviews, the secret war between the intelligence agencies and the Al-Qaeda network is revealed in a 3-part series, The Third World War, in Global Terror Season.
Freelancers are the bravest people on earth in journalism.
In memory of Rory Peck, the work and bravery of freelance news cameramen are celebrated in the firing line. That's the highlights this November on BBC World.
Johnson, the backward step. The slice around Bork move was brilliant. The driving ball forward. Going down! What a hang!
That is a classic.
That is an Anzac Day highlight.
Been plenty of aggro in this game in the opening 3 quarters, and at the final change, it's Carlton 7-11-53, leading the Kangaroos 7-6-48. The Blues snatching back the lead in the dying seconds through David Teague. And it's set for a grandstand finish to what's been a pretty scrappy contest, but a fierce contest nonetheless. All single goal kickers for the Blues, while Drew Petrie and Brent Harvey have 2 apiece for the Kangaroos. As Dennis Pagan lays down the law at three-quarter time. Tony, interesting, took a very long time to get out to the huddle, just with his brains trust hanging back off the pack as the players pretty much addressed each other.
Yeah, look, I don't know, it's something he's kind of brought into his coaching style over the last year and a half, or since he's been at Carlton. But you've got to allow the your assistants to do their bit with the team. Like, I really believe in Carlton. Barnaby French coming from the ground for that undisciplined act in the centre of the ground. Carlton should have been 16 points up ahead then. Now they've got to this point. No doubt he would have got a serve from Dennis Pagan. You just, as a senior footballer, you cannot give the ball up to your opposition when you're in control. And again, I say that Carlton, they've had times in this game where they've had 10 minutes where they should have scored 3 or 4 goals and they haven't. The Kangaroos, by the other side, they have really lacked a key forward to kick the ball to with any confidence. Sav Rock has hardly touched the ball today. But, you know, again, a key forward who has that 5 or 6 minutes where they kick 3 will win the game for their team. But, look, fantastic. It's not a great spectacle. We say that. It's tough. It's hard. There's been a lot of niggle and a lot of things behind play. But this game, just because of closeness of the score, is interesting.
Watching Super Saturday on Fox Footy. Stick with us right through till 7 o'clock Eastern. We'll have the post-mortem of this game and take you live to Saturday night football. There's one other game around 16 action on this afternoon. It's at the Telstra Dome between Richmond and St Kilda. Replays coming up over the weekend on Fox Footy, so if you don't want to see the score, look away now. Carlton still in the huddle. The Roos have broken up. Coaching staff leave the Carlton huddle. The players in a tight group by themselves as we head down to Tiffany Cherry.
Well, there might be concern with Justin Davies' teeth, and remembering what happened to Fletcher last night. He's been taken into the room to check the status of his teeth. A fairly big cut in his mouth. He's having that stitched up as well. And interesting to see, McCormick got quite a few pats on the back as he walked into the huddle, but yeah, generally no problems on both sides.
Lance Whitnall will start the final term on the bench, as will McCormick, who copped a heavy knock. Big clash of heads there in the dying minute. The Roos have been good finishers. They've lost just one of their last 8 final quarters, and that was only by a point to West Coast in round 13. The Blues lead it by 5 points. Crucial half hour of football coming up for the Kangaroos. They currently sit inside the 8. But they could drop out if the Blues can hang on here this afternoon. Brendan Favola with 1 goal 3 has threatened to open up the game at times. Meanwhile, at the other end, it's been a quiet day for Severio Rocker, just the 3 possessions and 1 behind. As we start the final term here at Optus Oval, Carlton by 5 points. French in the ruck, up against Porter. Ineffective tap, Harris runs onto it. Johnson takes him down, but Harris bounces back to his feet. He won't evade Koutafidis, but the tackle slipped high. It'll be a free kick coming back to Daniel Harris. Quick give to Grant. McGrath corrals him. Hands off to the run of Makepeace. Inside 50, lapping up at the front. Rocker was interfered with and will take a free kick against Thornton. Severio, we mentioned it's a quiet day. But he only needs a couple of opportunities to bob up and make a difference in this game. The arm from Thornton straying over the shoulder. Just mistimed the spoil.
Tell one person who's had an impact since he's gone back in that 3rd quarter, he's gone on the half-back flank, has been Troy Makepeace. He's just given him a little bit more added run from that line.
So here's Severio. He's in a rich vein of form. Not his sort of conditions this afternoon. Just the 1 behind, but a chance to restore the lead for the Roos. Kick on its way. It's working back. Right to the line. It's got the carry. The Roos in front. Sav gets his first, and it's the Roos by a point. They've played 1 minute final term at Optus Oval.
Well, Brett Thornton then, he just did not read this marking contest well. There's the arm over the shoulder. He knows he's given a free kick away. Now, this wasn't even a great kick from Sav Rocker. It was a little bit of an ugly turner, and the wind just got caught it and just got over the line where Sav Rocker can kick that distance. He'd probably kick it into the crowd. Things aren't happening for him today, Sav, and I agree. The blustery conditions make it hard for key forwards, especially when you haven't got a lot of ground level game, and he hasn't got that.
And Pelton first goal after 3/4 time break. Sav Rocker gets his first for the afternoon. French tapped down to Johnson under some pressure. Gets the kick towards Colbert. Davies, Fisher it was off the ground towards Favola. Good pressure, Archer. Good protection of the ball, Brendan Favola. Harris coming through. Koutafidis with the tackle. Ball spills free. Strong body needed. That man there on screen, Brett Johnson, was that man. Kick towards full forward. Unkind bounce. Norman. Clean possession, streaming out of the back line was Ferrito. The kick only as far as Dick Morrell. Had Lappin running by. Goes short and wide. McGrath has to stand his ground. Grant. Loose hand over his shoulder. Corey McGrath. Tied on the boundary line to Nick Stevens. To Teague. Linking up well through handball. Nowhere to go. Corey Jones wraps him up. No free kick. Teague's in there. We'll have a bounce. Sometimes in that situation, though, Tony, under pressure, kick it long.
That's both sides have struggled with that today, Wayne. You know, they look up the field, no key forwards, and just try to invent something.
Anthony Stevens wrapped up by Koutafidis. Ball goes out of bounds. We'll have a throw in.
Just the 3 touches to Koutafidis in the 3rd term. His influence lessened somewhat.
Yeah, it looks like Prendergast now is running with Adam Simpson. Oh no, it's Teague's gone to Simpson now.
Throw in, right half forward flank for the Kangaroos. 55 from home. They lead by 1 point. Prendergast works his way to the front and wins the free kick. Has Walker leading to the pocket. Goes in the direction of Fisher. Getting back Watt. Couldn't take the mark. Johnson on his hands and knees. As is Watt. Or should I say his backside. Not going anywhere. We'll have a bounce. As we cross down to Tiffany Cherry.
Justin Davies did lose a tooth. They called a dentist when they took him into the rooms, and they put it back in. They did the right thing, put it in a glass of milk, whatever that does, and they've put it back in, and they are saying that he can come back on and play.
Stevens, handball to Scotland. Sets it up to the top of the goal square. Some marking power for the Blues. And it's Jordan Bannister. Can go back and put Carlton in front. He's kicked 2 goals in his 25-game career. Both of those came against Essendon in round 4. From the top of the goal square, you'd expect he'll give Carlton the lead once again. And he does. Blues back in front at Optus Oval. They pressed for the last couple of minutes, retained possession inside their forward 50, and ultimately got the result they were looking for. Well, that was good play by Jordan Bannister. He's tagging Brent Harvey, and what he's done, he's gone to the square to become a dangerous player. Here, Scotland kicks the ball, not a lot of penetration, just lobs it up in the top of the square, and there's Brent Harvey, hasn't got the height. Jordan Bannister's probably 6'2", so giving away a lot of height. Good play by Jordan Bannister to put himself in an area where he's very dangerous for his side. Plenty of lead changes in this game. The Blues now back in front by 5 points as we tick over 5 minutes final term. Dean Laidley making some moves. Porter and French, a centre square infringement. It's going the way of the Kangaroos. Porter with the resultant free kick. Wants to move it quickly inside 50. The Blues have got numbers back. Teague has to stand tall and does. So courageous, David Teague. Have to be one of the recruits of the year. Swings it wide. Fisher. It's been busy this afternoon. 13 touches for Brad Fisher. Chips to the wing and finds Lappin. Nick Stevens has 18 for the Blues. Teague 17. McGrath 15 and Kudafiti's 14. While for the Kangaroos, 19 to Adam Simpson, 16 to Brent Harvey, 15 to Anthony Stevens. High ball from Lappin to half forward. Archer held his ground and took the mark. Wants to switch play. Kick was well weighted and found Lee Brown in defensive 50 to Colbert. Wants to switch it wide. It was an awkward kick. Walker can turn it around for the Blues. To centre half forward for Volder will take it in front of his face. Scotland now wants to track back to the goal square. Makepeace on his shoulder. Matters little. Volder went to ground and then tried to play on. Umpire said behind. So the idea was right from Brendan Favola. He got away with it, tried the 3-card trick. Everybody stopped. Yeah, well, Lee Colbert's still going berserk at the umpire behind play, saying he has to go back over his mark. And we can see it here. Now Colbert has to get up. The mark, the umpire comes in, or should have come in and said, "Yep, here's the mark here." Now, how can you call that play off? He was out of the play. The umpire must have said he was behind his mark, so he could have gone.
Lee Brown finds Daniel Harris, goes short. Corey Jones, wing position. Front of the interchange benches, wants to handball, has 2 players. The Stevens brothers take your pick. It's Anthony. Seniority won the race there. Kicks inside 50, but Corey McGrath did a good job chipping in front of his teammate and Barnaby French, and he relieves. Goes out the outer side of the ground now, has Nick Stevens in some space. Petrie in chase. To Kudafidis, back to Stevens. Won't find him. On the half volley, Nick Stevens did well, did very well. As did Drew Petrie, got the spoil, maintained in the contest. Lee Colbert to Brent Harvey under some pressure. Bannister, good tackle. The crowd wants ball, but they'll get a bounce.
Well, again, Nick Stevens pushing forward. Just a couple of handballs, probably not needed. Get the ball forward and get it in your forward line as quick as possible.
One straight kick is the difference.
You've got to give it to both sides. And look, the skills haven't been great, but it hasn't been a lack of effort.
So we'll have a bounce, centre wing position, outer side of the ground. Plenty of numbers around the ball. French down to Johnson. He's been busy in this second half. Kudafidis, good tackle, Corey Jones. And we'll have another bounce.
It's been an arm wrestle for most of the afternoon. The biggest margin in the game was Carlton by 11 points midway through the 3rd quarter. Brent Harvey comes to the bench for the Roos. French the tap, but only as far as Harris. Gains some territory for the Kangaroos. Simpson gets there first. Harassed by Prendergast. Got the hands free. Kangaroos flip it around on the outer wing. It comes back to Stevens. Simpson rather to 50. French couldn't bring it down. Grant swooping at ground level. Sinclair in over the top. Ball up right on 50 for the Kangaroos. They trail by 6 points. 9 minutes gone, final term at Optus Oval. It's been a real struggle this afternoon. A low-scoring scrap in blustery conditions. French from the ruck contest. Off the hands of Scotland and Makepeace. Fisher out in front of Colbert. Gathers on the left to half forward. Walker the target. Couldn't quite bring it down. Play on the call. Archer around the wing finds Makepeace. And a chance now for the Roos to set up. He's come into the game, Troy Makepeace. 14th possession coming up. He switches it inboard to Corey Jones. Bobbled it. Run down from behind by Norman. Had to fling it into open space. Fortunately, Adam Simpson was there for the Kangaroos. He gathers on the left boot, tumbles it inside 50. The skills have been pretty ordinary this afternoon from both sides, and it's not all the wind, I wouldn't imagine.
Well, you look down the ground, Adam Simpson, he's a left footer, and he was hoping someone would lead onto the left side of the goal. Not one forward push to that space, knowing he had to kick the ball there. I don't know whether he really went for touch then on that occasion. Just did not have anybody to kick the ball to.
Porter in the front, French at the back. Neither ruckman an effective tap. Here's Sinclair. Handball to Grant, to Michael Stevens from 55. Goes to the top of the square. Chance for the Roos again. We see that man, David Teague.
Sensational.
17 possessions, 7 marks, and kicked the goal himself. He's having a day out against his old side. Goes to half back and finds another former Kangaroo in Digby Morrell.
Had Prendergast loose. Stead comes back into Scotland. Goes inboard, into the square, finds Johnson. Nick Stevens over the top, ignores that. Bannister still in the centre square. Favola on the lead, goes further afield. Whitnell on the lead, got rid of Lee Colbert. And Lance Whitnell will go back, have a shot at goal. Missed 2 weeks through injury, but important kick. 16 goals in total kicked by both sides. That's a well-weighted option by Jordan Bannister. Had Favola short. And a loose arm by Glenn Archer. Misses everything.
That was a good call, Wayne. The kick was well-weighted, and Lance Whitnell has got Lee Colbert now coming out of the square. That's where you want Lee Colbert to play, full-back, not centre-half-back.
Slight angle, kicks from 35, keeps it low. The crowd like it, Lance likes it, his teammates do as well. And the margin now out to 10 points.
It's 2 goals, 12 points. The biggest margin of the game.
They just set it up,
buffer, isn't it?
They just set it up well here. Johnson's had a great second half, as you call. And on that occasion, Bannister up on the lead. He's got a lot of speed, Jordan Bannister. And now Brent Harvey's off the ground. He's gone forward, and there's Lance Whitnell. And Lee Colbert, I mean that as in they want to get him at full back because they know he lacks leg speed. He's fantastic across half-back, reads the play so well. But even though Lance Whitnell isn't quick, very hard for Lee Colbert if Lance Whitnell takes the first step on the lead.
It's getting awkward for the Kangaroos. They'll have to come from behind as they did last week against the Dockers. Porter couldn't get the disposal away. The Blues have got a taste for it at the moment. Koutafidis couldn't break free. Johnson, Jones and Prendergast all in there for a secondary bounce.
Brady Rawlings playing as a small forward for the Kangaroos, which means Scott Camporelli now is playing at half-back flank for the Blues.
Motlop on for Grant, has gone to centre-half forward. He's being picked up by McGrath. Here's Wells through traffic. High ball inside 50. Rocker went to ground. Thornton will come over the top.
Well done, Hickory
at the front. Stands tall. Links up with Stevens around the outer side. He's got some space to work in. Scotland's got the drop on his man and receives on centre wing. It's Prendergast. Prendergast will go inside 50. Favola across the front of the contest. Spills to Whitnell at the back. For 2 in 2 minutes for Lance. Couldn't get enough purchase on it. And Shannon Watt saves the day for the Roos. He rushes it through. The margin now 13 points. Played 13.5 minutes, final term. The feeling the Roos need the next one. Makepeace from the kick in. Finds Colbert at defensive 40.
Carlton found themselves in a similar winning position a fortnight ago against the Swans. So have they learnt their lessons? Based on what we've seen so far, you would think so. Watts away, back edge of the square, heads up towards the wing now. Drives a long ball inside 50. Getting back. Good mark, Matthew Lappin.
Gee, the defence is holding up now for Carlton. Kangaroos have to find a forward to kick a goal.
He's got Fisher in the square. Bannister breaks wide. Goes towards Lance. He's got the front position. Colbert closely. Good spoil, roving it. Barnaby, French. Snaps, pulls it across the face of goal. Getting back there, Walker! Oh, couldn't bring it back. That was a terrific behind, nonetheless.
Barnaby French, he just turned into a rover overnight. Just read that beautifully off the pack. Couldn't convert.
Kick in went to Simpson at defensive 50.
3 kicks in this game now.
Shane Harvey and Jones get in each other's way. Fortunately, they've got some time to work with. Harvey to Jones. Up the line towards Brown. Teague again. Worked his way to the front. Ball still alive inside the line. Ball up.
That sun's become a problem now in the Kangaroos forward line. All players have got hands on their eyes, just shielding the sun. So marking's going to be difficult. You can see the sun shining there into the forward 50 for the Kangaroos.
Someone needs to step up for the Roos inside 50. You would think for them to win it from here. Prendergast's tap goes to the line. I mentioned the Swans a couple of weeks ago, Wayne. They had Barry Hall inside 50, who just took it on himself to win the game. Someone needs to do a similar thing for the Roos here.
And it's hard to find who that will be. I mean, Drew Petrie looks likely, possibly. Sad Rock has had a quiet afternoon.
Kudafides away from the clearance. Open space for him. Goes to centre half forward. Favola takes it 55 from home. Turns around. Whitnell leads short. Favola obliges. He can link up with Johnson. Brett Johnson on the left from 35 metres.
Hits the post.
Skims the woodwork.
Oh.
Well, they're in a position now to be almost ready to drive the nail into the coffin. Haven't quite been able to get the job done as yet. As we know with the Kangaroos, you really need to put them away because they were always a chance and they'll back themselves in until the final siren.
Well, they've got to kick 3 goals to get back in front, and they kicked 8 in nearly 4 quarters of football. Hard task.
Porter spoiled Adam Simpson. Daniel Wells has a bounce. Gets around the lunging Favola. Heads towards the half-forward flank. Shane Harvey did well with one hand. Carlton with the numbers. Play-ons are called. Lappin. Good tackle, Sinclair. Daniel Motlop. One way, then the other. Comes back inboard. Turns Teague around. Good kick. Finds Rawlings. Camperelli just couldn't close the space. Has a loose player. It's Troy Makepeace. As you've said, Tony, has been very important in this second half. Wrong side for Troy. On the right foot towards the top of the square. Shane Harvey has to do the spoiling. Morel over the top. No whistle. Play's allowed to go on. And we'll have a bounce. Metres from goal for the Kangaroos. This is an important bounce. Right forward pocket. Carlton in front 9-15 to 8-6. The ball thumped through for a rush behind.
I think, Wayne, one of the great moves in the second half for the Blues has been Favola, the centre half forward. It means Archer's been taken out of an area where he can show his courage. And as I said, that Whitnell's gone to full forward on Colbert. Bad kick in.
Dangerous kick from Stevens. It was a 2-on-2. Here's Michael Stevens. 45 out. The Roos need a goal and Michael Stevens obliges. The Roos are still alive. They have an amazing capacity to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. The margin suddenly just 8 points as French comes off. Still plenty of time as we tick over 18 minutes.
Well, that poster up the other end, it was only a little bit of varnish on the post where Johnson had a shot on goal. That is a very good kick on his non-preferred. Or is that he's a left footer? No, he's a right footer, not like his brother. And they're still in the ball game where they shouldn't be, the Kangaroos. Carlton have just, again, I think, had the better part of this first half of this last quarter. Michael Stevens, 2 goals.
Spent a fair bit of time in the reserves for Port Melbourne last year, Michael Stevens, but looks as though he's settled in quite nicely. Johnson, another clearance. High up and under ball. Fisher in front, Colbert with the spoil. Nick Stevens gathers a loose ball. Short kick. It's a good kick. Good vision. Just lowered the eyes and saw Brendan Favola on the charge. Not a great deal Glenn Archer could do. But it's important that the full forward goes back after that terrific goal from Michael Stevens and responds quickly for Carlton.
All day I think it's been left-hand goal post and most players are missed to the right. So Brendan Favola would want to start here. We have a great view there. of what's in front of him. The wind is normally taking it from left to right, so he should start it right on that left-hand goal post and swing it back into the centre of the goals.
He'll kick from just on 50, 1-4 for the afternoon. But this is an important kick for goal from Brendan Favola.
There it is, he's missed right again, started the middle of the goals.
And that's why you'd make a good coach, Tony Shaw.
Yeah, I've had enough of that, thanks.
Brendan Favola, wasteful in front of goal. He has 1 goal 5.
Kicked 53-24 coming into this game. He's been super accurate all season. 1-5 today, as Wayne mentioned, and the Blues 25 scoring shots to 16, yet they only lead by 9 points. High ball long again from Michael Stevens. Houlihan over the top, forces it to the front of the contest. Grant paddled to his own advantage. Johnson in there for the Blues. Archer came crashing through. Stevens holds him up. They pile in on top of it at 50. A little bit more niggle and spite in there. It's been an aggro sort of afternoon.
Looks like Michael Stevens, the designator long kicker, Wayne, from the points. Every time he's got the ball, he's kicked the ball fairly long. His brother normally does the short kick-ins.
Pye throws it up. Simpson, the third man up. This is often the case with the Kangaroos. Wells explodes into open space. What can he create here? He runs to the wing. Goes to centre half forward. Rocker on the long lead. Couldn't hang on. DeLuca to tidy up for the Blues. They've got some numbers at ground level. Camporelli to Prendergast. Flips it to DeLuca. Handball to Lappin, who'll run into trouble and somehow ran out of it as well. Prendergast. As Camporelli and Motloff tangle behind the football. Courage from Colbert. Went down hard and is hurt. Petrie to the wing. It's a 2-on-2. Stevens in best position. Fisted it cleverly to Houlihan. He runs into Brown. Handball looking for Stevens, but found the wrong one. It was Anthony instead of Nick. And the ball to the line. Under 5 minutes remaining. Lee Colbert. Courage personified once again. Let's take another look. Whitnell coming the other way. Flat on the back, going to take the wind out of it.
Oh, they say they get too much money, the AFL footballers.
Petrie goes up and gets it down to Stevens. The tempo just lifting a little in the last couple of minutes. The Roos realise they need to make their move now. Brown harassed by Morrell. Michael Stevens keeps it in. 4.5 minutes remaining. Stevens to 50. Here's Rocker again. Still can't grab it. DeLuca wrapped up by Motlop. Happy to take the tackle. Rocker in off the top rope. Ball up 55 metres out.
That sun is a major issue. 2 chest marks he's dropped. You can see the sun, no doubt, looking straight into the sun with his eyes and missed the flight of the ball.
Simpson coming through wet without the ball. Morrell puts his head over it. Tied up in a good tackle and we'll have another bounce.
See, Daniel Wells is one player who looks like he's just trying to get him going. His speed, running off half back. He's just around this stop play now, but he's trying to at least inspire his teammates.
Well, it's set up for a player like Daniel Wells. Terrific winning goal last week, late in the game against Fremantle. Grant gets the tap out, tap back from Brown. But Brett Thornton read it best as Prendergast breaks out wide. Decides to go short to Houlihan. Short again. Could have been his dangerous kick. Shane Harvey tipped in front. Swooping on the loose ball, Brady Rawlings gives it back to Anthony Stevens. Won't make the distance. Motlop. Morrell coming through. Couldn't affect the spoil. And Stevens momentarily relieves. DeLuca finds Lappin, centre of the square. Has some space now. Can go short. Sets it up for McCormick. Good spoil make piece. Whitnell has been very busy in this last quarter to Johnson. Short to Favola on the lead. Archer. Good spoil. Prendergast roves a loose ball. Not too confident on his left boot. Handballs to McCormick. Unkind bounce as it was to Walker. Wells. Beautiful pickup. Relieves. Finds Simpson.
Big roll of the dice for the Kangaroos now. Simpson on centre wing. Handball to Grant. Grant can go forward to Brown. Brown's at 55. He'll square it up. Here comes Rocker. Shane Harvey at the front. Shunted out the way and the Blues stand tall again. McGrath to Bannister. Sees off the danger. Now to Walker. Can they drive the stake through the Kangaroos' heart? Favola lunges. Couldn't take it. Archer and Fisher go to ground. Ball finds the line. Carlton standing up under pressure across half back. And with 2.5 minutes remaining, they lead by 9 points.
Standing ovation at the George Harris stand, really pumping this game up. They think their side's been, well, probably in control more than the opposition over the day. And they think it's been a pretty courageous effort also today.
Petrie and Whitnell. Petrie at the front. Anthony Stevens gets boot to ball. It found Grant on centre wing. Roos not done with yet. They need a goal.
Oh, bad kick.
DeLuca will stand underneath it. The Blues pushing numbers back across half-back. Kangaroos need to manufacture a turnover. DeLuca's got Teague in the middle of the ground. Short to Camporelli. They can switch wide and wider still. Houlihan had the option of going wider to Thornton or further afield to Teague. Had to stand and wait as Jones closed. This could be the turnover the Roos needed. Here's Motlop. He runs away from Thornton. Shane Harvey's on his own at 55. Harvey can go to the goal square and Rawlings. He's got it. Tight angle.
Well done, Nick Stevens on the mark.
To keep the Kangaroos alive. Brady Rawlings. He's kicked 9 goals, 9 for the season. Must go back and kick this goal. There will be time for the Roos if he slots it. This is the first part of the equation. Rawlings goes with a drop punt. Tries to guide it home. Hand to head tells the story. Just misses. Margin 8 points. Kangaroos need a turnover from the kick-in.
And when you say 8 points, it's 8 shots on goal. 9-16 to 9-8. So it just shows their conversion. If they were going to lose this game, Carlton, they'd look back on that, no doubt.
McGrath goes out wide. Thornton's got loose. Quite happy to run down the clock now, the Blues. As you said, Tony, 2 kicks the difference. Important play if the Kangaroos are to have any hope. They've got a man up as Nick Stevens marks the ball in the back pocket. Leading Carlton possession winner with 24. Not a lot of loose options further up the ground. Decides to go long in the direction of DeLuca, flying high, floating in from the side. Drew Petrie. Important play coming up as the clock winds down under 20 seconds. Decides to go long. They'll contest 30 yards from goal. Bounce favours Michael Stevens. Coming through Morrell. Was it ridden in the back? No. Shannon Grant got the handball to Lee Cole, to Lee Brown. Non-preferred. Teague in the front position. Steady under the pressure. And there's a siren. Carlton defeat the Kangaroos. 9-16-70 to 9-8-62. Not the prettiest game, Tony Shaw, but nonetheless an important game for the Blues and a costly one for the Kangaroos.
Well, I think David Teague marked that last ball. To have the ball at the end of the game, he thoroughly deserved that. I thought he was best on ground by a mile. And having a win against your former teammates, your former club that you played for, just no greater feeling for David Teague today. But they deserved that, thoroughly deserved the win, Carlton. You know, again, it wasn't a great spectacle, but you don't have to have the spectacle, just that you get across the line at the end and you're going to better score than the opposition. You know, 8 more scoring shots. It showed that lack of conversion kept the Kangaroos in that game for a long time. You said it though, Wayne, at half-time about trying to manufacture emotion, and that's what the Kangaroos were doing in the rooms. That was an issue for them all day. They looked flat. Carlton, they've done it again. The rebound kings, they've come off another thrashing last week and turned it around. Doesn't get you the finals though, boys. If you have 22 rounds and you get thrashed one week and win the next, you only have 11 wins. You might make the finals all the time, but they've done it and they keep that trend going for the whole season.
The Blues moved to 7-9 in season 2004. The Kangaroos slipped to 8-8. The Roos coming into this game having won 4 of their last 5. It was a great afternoon for David Teague against his old side. And here he is with Tiffany Cherry.
Well, David, you could probably say you had your colours lowered a little bit last week, but what a great turnaround this game.
Yeah, it's probably been the best thing this year. Every week we've sort of got a bit of a hide in the team. The boys have really fought hard and come back with a win, so it's a really good feeling.
And in your game personally, you're pretty happy with it?
Yeah, not too bad. I don't think I had a goal kicked on me, so it's my job. I think I beat my man. So, yeah, no, I was real happy just to help out the boys and to get a win. And so, just, yeah, like I said, really good feeling.
And you rained on the Kangaroos party.
Yeah, no, they've been playing really good footy. I've watched, I still keep an interest, still catch up with a few of the boys. So, no, it's really good. They're playing some good footy and hopefully they can continue and go well in the finals.
And just pleasing that the boys could hold on for that one.
Yeah, well, I suppose the first time around we played them and they got over us in the end and they're coming back hard today, so it was really good just to hang on to have the win here at a home ground and the fans get right into it.
Well done. Thanks a lot.
So, thank you.
Sunday on Fox Footy, Robert Walls catches up with Richmond great Brendan Gale for one big hour of return to sender.
Gale's got a great mark.
The one-time Tigers coach goes behind the scenes with the big number 25 to find out if he bleeds black and gold.
I actually hated the Tigers. I thought they were a pack of thugs.
Wallsy discovers how the former president of the Players Association feels about the running of Punt Road and playing alongside his brother.
That was something that I thought would never eventuate.
Return to sender with Brendan Gale, Sunday 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusive to Fox Footy Channel.
Go Harvey Norman now for 18 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2006. What a deal. Buy now and pay absolutely nothing for 18 months. Electrical, computers and communications, furniture and bedding and bedroom furniture, bed linen and much more. 18 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2006. Minimum purchase $500. Conditions, fees and charges apply. See store for details. 18 months interest-free now at Harvey Norman. But hurry, offer must end this weekend.
If they slap it through, they're more than a goal down. Wells just grabs it and goals! The young West Australian has the presence of mind that Jackie Chan in midair.
And here's the team song.